YouTube that focuses mainly on old style traditional martial arts and conditioning training, endurance and toughness training, a bit of law enforcement stuff, self-defense, a whole bunch of different things to do with martial arts. This is podcast episode 3 of Iron Body Martial Arts podcast with my brother here, Dan, who I've got on my high-tech setup. So Dan, say hello. Hopefully the audio is good. How's your audio?
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm just firing up the YouTube there so I can see.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah. Back by popular request. Hey Dan, the podcast again.
Definitely. It's good to be. This is the first IBMA cast of the year.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, the first IBMA. Oh, I think we already got a thumbs up there as well. So I've got my bigger pad set up as a screen here, so I'll be able to view comments. I've got you hiding up here, high tech setup. We've got my new mic, so hopefully things sound a bit better. So yeah, but yeah, first IBMA. Oh, and thanks obviously to the Patreon subscribers and stuff, and just generally people who support the channel. Means we can sort of upgrade things and make things look better. Because my channel's always been a bit low tech, and still low tech. But yeah, first one of 2022. So how's your training been going, Dan? Over the Christmas period and New Year, and then that's before we talk about what the IBMA training theme for the year is. I've already put out a few videos. The training theme is internal martial arts and Qigong, but that's a big topic because I don't know, I've probably spoken to you about it before. There's a big misunderstanding, I believe, with internal martial arts, and you've probably seen me doing stuff over the years. There's a big misunderstanding with internal martial arts. People wasting a lot of their time, doing energies, but not focusing on the actual physical things that they have to do. Anyway, that's another topic, so we'll get on to that. But first off, say hello, Dan. Just say hi to everyone and just tell them who you are for everyone who's not seen the podcast before.
Well, I'm your brother, obviously, and I've been obviously following you throughout your as we grew up throughout your whole sort of martial arts career, and then since 2019, it was October 2019. I've learned from you concerning sort of iron fist knuckle conditioning, and I've followed some of your suggestions and regimes since then, pretty much solidly. Constantly since that point, and I've sort of integrated it into training at the local mixed martial art club in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it's been very beneficial as we sort of discussed it.
As we discussed before, yeah, because your background is you're a Muay Thai man years ago. How long did you end up studying Muay Thai in Belgium for?
Well, it's one of those things we spoke about that I really, but you know what they say, regrets, so there's nothing you can do about the past, I suppose, but one of my biggest regrets, Pete, is that I did Muay Thai in Belgium for sort of 3 years or so.
Okay, yeah, good.
And then I dropped out of doing martial art I sort of got a bit burnt out with that specific regime and the way they were teaching Muay Thai there. It was great. But then I sort of dropped out for, I don't know, I think I started again when I was sort of, 27 or so like that. So I sort of regret, it's such a shame if I'd sort of continued training, think about how further I would be.
Yeah. Oh, so, do you know what, there's a topic there. There's a topic in that. So if I was to summarize it correctly, you never did martial arts or anything like that for your whole life, nothing like that. Then when you were how old? So when you were 16, you started doing Muay Thai. Oh, well, that's good. Sorry, I thought you were older when you started. So, and you did it for 3. That's a great time to start as well. But pardon me. So when you're 16, you started doing Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And you did it for.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Some of the guys, I've seen some of the guys that I used to work with sort of went did some competition and stuff. I was not too bad. Like Bjorn used to say. I'm not saying I was great or anything, but I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I had a feeling for it.
Well, yeah. Well, for your age and when you started, because from a martial arts perspective, you started a bit late. But for a Muay Thai perspective and a sport combat perspective, you probably started at a great time. You know, that was the perfect time. But where I was getting at with my thing was, so you started martial arts when you're 16, which is actually quite young for Western. You did the Muay Thai for 3 years, but then the martial arts dropped off for you, didn't it?
For a long time, yeah. I think, like for over 10 years.
Yeah. And then you started training John Donahue MMA in, is it Melbourne? Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, when you were doing that, after having all these years of me there, you finally approached me and gone, maybe some of this iron body conditioning stuff and whatnot might be a bit good. I'll give it a try.
Well, it's not just that. You know, I'm not just saying this because it's on the podcast, but you're the reason why, obviously, I not just the iron body, but that I pushed myself to pursue the martial. Because, you know, I thought I love it so much, and as you know, like I follow all the different arts and competitively at UFC, I follow the T, everything, interviews, everything, the fights. And I think if you've got such a passion for something, why not? You know what I mean? Jump in and get first hand. That's what I've sort of been doing. Like in the MMA, the grappling, the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai. But then, as you know, cutting a long story short, when I first jumped in the gym, I went over to the heavy bag and I punched it with bare knuckles. And because I'm doing this for self-defense, I'll be honest, I don't have any aspirations to sort of do any competitive.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing it for sort of self-defense and health and this and that. And as you know, I hit that bag and I was like, man, I can't hit a grapefruit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gotta train the knuckles, and then like what you've been talking about for so many years, I sort of realized it firsthand, and I've seen now subsequently in the gym, like people have seen me doing the bare knuckle stuff. I've told them I'm sort of following yourself and I command, and they sort of think about it for a minute and they're like, oh yeah, actually, that's a good point, because when I go over to the bag without wraps and that, this is their thing, I know it hurts and I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
These are your God-given weapons. You better make sure that they're good at them.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. No, 100%. And actually, on that note as well, I don't know if you know, but Lethway Tuesdays with Dave LeDuc, who's the current bare knuckle, Burmese bare knuckle Lethway fighting, one of the champions. I think he's still the champion.
He's still the top
yeah. So that's back, and I was just watching a clip of it the other day, which was good. And he was, he was keeping up with endorsing the bare knuckle training, and then also he in his most recent video, Lethway Tuesdays, he was doing, and this is something I like. He was going through just simple combos, but because like a lot of the times, you go to a club or whatever, and the combos just become endlessly long and complicated. I'm a bit of a simple character, so I've always only ever really done simple ones. So Dave was doing, and this is something I did want to point out in one of my videos. I was going to make a video about it. So Dave was doing a simple combo where he was going jab, cross, then hook. Yeah. And it was like an overhand hook. But again, the difference when you see a pugilist who fights sort of bare knuckle to if you see one who doesn't, because I know, like, even in MMA there's that sort of arcing overhand strike, and it even exists in Kung Fu. But this wasn't that. It was his like over the guard hook. But the cool thing about it was the alignment. You know, I noticed things like this because it's kind of the world I live in. But the cool thing, what I liked about it was the alignment that he had. You know, so he was like jab, cross, and then rather than, I don't know how you do a bad one these days, but rather than sort of just doing something like this or a hook like what you might imagine, where you can hit. You know, you could hit the small bones and get the old boxer's fracture. He's doing jab, cross, and that's coming over. And when you see it from the side profile, it's kind of looks sort of a little bit more like this. And you can just tell, you know, he's aiming to hit you with those two knuckles, and you can just tell the alignment. It's solid gold. And what I love about it is it's Budo. It's Budo. It's I know he's training for like sport combat, but I mean Lethwei is arguably not sport combat anymore because you can just do everything. But it is. But it's fighting. It's true fighting martial arts when you're obeying those little points. It's even more. You know, obviously MMA is, but then it's even more so when you're obeying the little rules where you can't even get away with striking slightly incorrectly, or you risk the chance of breaking your hand or this and that. And I'm sure the guys bust their hand anyway. But anyway, sorry, I diverged off there, but I just thought it was definitely worth a shout out to Dave Leduc, Lethwei, and if what's that?
No, I was just going to plug your interview, of course, with Dave. That's awesome. Go back on the channel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was just about to say that myself actually. If you go back on my channel, you see an interview between me and Dave Leduc, current bare knuckle Bernese Lethwei champion. It was an honor and a privilege to interview the guy. What a nice guy. And he even invited me on his Lethwei training camp. I don't know if it ended up happening because of the COVID. But yeah, I couldn't go.
The coup, there was that coup.
The coup, yeah. So I don't know what happened with that, but I didn't have the money either. It was worth the money, but it was too much money for me. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, Lethwei Tuesdays are back. So there. But that was something. Sorry, that was something I was tailing off to, and we were talking about the other day. That was somewhere where I was going, where you were talking about your training. We were talking about like the martial arts and injury.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were saying to me the other day, you were like, "Oh man, I wish I'd done martial arts for like longer, when I was a kid and whatnot and growing up, because now that I'm training it in my late 20s." I feel like I'm getting injured all the time. So many people. So tell us, because gym, running, anything like that. That's a whole topic in itself. Is picking up something, doing some kind of training in your mid to late 20s or 30s or as you get older, and the injury aspect, and it's kind of a letdown. So how do you keep going? How do you keep training? I know answers to those questions, but go on, what do you think?
Well, like I said to you the other day, that's definitely my working theory right now, is that, like you said, having not done martial art intensely for sort of 10 years, and then jumping into, what's commonly can be agreed is quite intense, isn't it? You get into like a proper, because, just like our gym, there's a lot of the way that, which is really good, the way the coaches teach you, like when we start, they say, we don't care if you're here for your own good or if you're here to train competitively, we will train you as if you're going up. So it's a proper, it's quite intense. So I think that's what led to, just like I said, 10 years out, and then suddenly the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the Muay Thai, the boxing, all those things, without those years of the stretching and all the kind of stuff you do and you promote, it would have greatly benefited me. And I've had a lot of injuries since I started. Like I've got double shin splints, like severe.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. So you developed these.
I've been trying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
My two shoulders are pretty injured. I sort of I sprained both my toes.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of different injuries. And like I got a real bad double shoulder injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm just trying to keep going.
But this leads nicely onto our training topic for the year, IBMA, because usually a couple of times a year or at the beginning of the year, I pick a training theme, because there's just so much to train. But one of the themes for this year, amongst other stuff, like the steel staff carries on into this year, the iron staff. But one of the themes for this year is the internal martial arts or Qui Gong training. For the betterment of your health and this, that, and the next thing. But these are like physical exercises that you do. It's not standing around and imagining energies. So it's like self-physio. If you take it to the Chinese medicine side, it's like yoga and self-physio. That's what it is. Like I did a video yesterday where I was going through some of the basic like postures, standing postures, but all they really are like they're just like physio postures where you're checking that your body's like your hips are lined up, your shoulders are lined up, and you make your spine straight, you tuck your chin so that and if someone took an X-ray of your body, instead of being like sort of like this. You'd be nice and straight and everything, and that way we don't realize how little time we spend in a nice posture. I tell you what, good example. It's like a hose pipe. It's like a hose pipe. So imagine you get a hose pipe and you just crumple it up and you just chuck it on the floor, or an electricity cable and you chuck it on the floor. Doesn't so much matter with an electricity cable. But imagine you've got a hose of some kind that carries fluid, you just chuck it on the floor. And it's got dings and dents and dings and twists. And then, you expect it to do something. You deliver a high volume of fluid through it constantly. It's going to wear, it's going to tear. It's not going to work as great. Now, if you straighten that hose out, how much better is the water going to flow through the hole? There's going to be less resistance. And that's exactly, that's exactly the way the Qui Gong works with your spine and your organs and stuff like that. It's just your body is straightened out, and then you hold those positions, which allows your body to go, oh, do you know what? Say for instance, you might not know it, but the way you stand might put excessive pressure on like one side of your kidneys. It might squash your other one kidney into your liver a bit, or squash this duct or squash that duct, or press on this or press on your heart, or there's so many like complicated things. So these standing postures are just ways to just loosen everything up, get everything in the way it should be. And I think that would help you with your injuries. So if you check out yesterday's video that I did, where it's the Qui Gong, and it's the wall posture.
Against the wall.
Yeah. Oh, did you see it? Yeah. I'd be interested. So you're saying with your shoulder injury and stuff like that, I'd be interested for you to give that a try and see like how easy it is, like how are your hips flat against the wall? Can you flatten your shoulders against the wall? Can you tuck your neck? Can you hit? Can you? And you'll see there'll be things, there'll be hiccups, and then that's where you need to concentrate on those areas. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's the Qui Gong theme for the thing, but. It's a physical exercise. Now this annoyed me as well, because I'll tell you what. So I put out one thing I always do when I speak about Qui Gong is I'm always going on about it's a physical exercise. It's a real thing, because the problem is in the world of Kung Fu and martial arts, if you, especially Qui Gong, you start talking about it and there's hundreds and millions of videos, and there's hosts of people like standing around and imagining energies and everything like that. And my point is, yes, all those things, you can believe in them, they exist, you can get them to work if you want, whatever you believe in. But if you don't have the base mechanical stuff right, if you're not doing the stances right, if you're not doing the postures right, if you're not using your legs enough, like even in Tai Chi, you're getting little to no benefit from the postures, or you're getting a lot less benefit. You know, you're getting like 30% benefit instead of like 100% benefit. So that's my main thing with the Qigong. I know Qigong's not, I don't know, it's not really your world, or yeah, actually I've never asked you about Qigong, but that's one thing that's a bugbear of mine. So I did those, and in all my Qigong videos and those videos, I'm trying to show that it's more, the best thing to think about what's Qigong is it should be more like yoga than cultivating energies. If you don't have the yoga in your Qigong, if you don't have the postures and the way you stand and the way you set your body and the what's the word, and the stress positions, then you don't have the Qigong. You'll never get it. Yeah, and so it kind of, and this is where I get back to yesterday, which annoyed me. So I put out the very basic and simple Qigong video. I had to cut it short because I had to go and feed Jack his bottle, which was fine. But then today someone came on the video. I don't know, their comment seems to be gone, but they posted like, oh, you know, and they were sort of promoting someone else, which is fine. I like people to promote themselves on my channel. I like them to come forward, say, hey, have a look at my video. But what I don't like is if people like promote mediocre like crap. You know, that pisses me off. Like if you're going to promote stuff, I mean, if you're going to promote stuff, promote yourself, that's fine. But if you're going to promote someone else's stuff, so they came onto the channel and they went, oh, you know, if you want to see the real Ni Gong, which is another word for Qigong, they were like, if you want to see real Ni Gong, and they weren't trying to insult me, but they were like, if you want to see real Ni Gong, go on this video, and they posted the link. And I was like, oh yeah, interesting. And I clicked on it, and it was a link to some Taoist, some Taoist guy in, I don't know, in the hills somewhere, and the Qigong was nothing special. In fact, it was what I usually talk against, which is someone barraging you with things that you have to do, like, oh, breathe this way and breathe out and make this noise, which are all valid, but not telling you much about the way you should have to move and the way you should have to stand to make it work. And the guy demonstrating it was not, he wasn't. Well, put it this way, I wouldn't like to learn Qigong from that guy, because it just wasn't dynamic enough. It wasn't, it wasn't. And another thing is, if you've got Qigong and you've got all that, and you've got the real Qigong, then please, what I think is, please demonstrate it by showing, or you don't have to, but demonstrate it by showing your martial arts, your physical activity, because that's what it's for. You know, the best person really to demonstrate to you my kind of philosophy of Qigong is Sifu Yang Lee. Everyone knows old Sifu. You know Sifu Yang Lee, don't you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's 50-year-old now, and he's just a friggin' legend, that guy. Big inspiration to me. But anyway, I've gassed on enough about Qigong. So anyway, I didn't mean to gas on that much about it, but that's to that guy who came on with the real Ni Gong and posted the clip to something that was just like not that great, and there was nothing that great in there. And you usually, if someone can't tell you the details about why you're doing something, and show you precisely the movements. You see, so I'll finish with this, maybe I'll talk about it a bit, but, by the way, people can comment or ask questions or whatever, they can chuck them up there, but Qigong is just about movement. It's about alignment of the bones, alignment of the body. Then it's also about twisting, sinking, rising, stretching. It's just literally movement. So in Qigong forms, there is no such thing as the best, or this is the ultimate knee gung, do this, and people make like a set of 1,000,000 complicated moves. So one of the best qi gongs you can practice, pretty much the only one you ever need, is the Ba Dua Jin. Yeah, the Ba Dua Jin. And that's the 8 pieces of the brocade. It's a famous Shaolin form. And that's literally pretty much all you need. You don't even have to do it in order. And all that is a couple of standing postures, you know. Some people do it, I like to do it in just single standing postures. Some Shaolin's forms join it together. But that's literally it. It's like pressing forward, pressing up, pressing out, twisting, bending, flexing the spine. It's really simple stuff. So anyone who tries to make Qigong complicated and mysterious, they're just telling you crap. Yeah, or they don't understand. You know, it's just a physical process of training. But anyway, check out I've got a load of videos on it. But I think I've gassed on enough about Qigong. Don't you reckon, Dan? You're just sitting there going, man, what's this guy talking about Qigong for?
Sorry, is your audio cut out?
Oh no, that's all right, mate. I said I'll stop talking about Qigong now. You must be fed up of hearing about it. You must be like, ah.
Well, look, I think coming from an outward perspective, someone who doesn't know a lot about it, but I do know enough about it from what you've said, that I think it's, like you said, it's the same principle where we see a lot of BJJ practitioners and like the high competitive ones doing yoga and stuff like this. And I think it's that similar principle, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you follow movements and alignments, you're going to diminish the chance of injuries and you're going to have more longevity.
Yeah.
All of the things I should have done, which I didn't do, basically. That's the way I see it.
Okay, different note. So you finally, I've made a whole video about this, but we won't labor on it long. So you finally managed to catch the DKU, is Bradley Scott, isn't it? Bradley Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched it just by coincidence. I didn't know we were doing the class today, but I just sort of stumbled upon a guy, a Vietnamese martial artist, doing like a picture-in-picture commentary or fighting.
And how did he do that as well without getting copyright slammed? We were saying as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get copyright slammed. But you know, I suppose the thing is, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know who DKU was until you said it.
Well, I did a video on him as well because so many people, he's such a blown up thing, and the sum total of my video was not, it doesn't matter what I think anyway, but the sum total of my video was, like, I heard about him years ago. I watched him back in the day when he was doing those hits on that guy with the helmet, some of the first stuff, and I went, oh yeah, that guy looks like all right, and then I never watched him again because I was like, yeah, he's just another guy doing his thing, But then he exploded and blew up, and I didn't realize people were going to like seminars and this and that. I mean, I don't know. I've often thought about it. I've been like, oh well, if where I was living, DKU came to a seminar, would I bother going? I don't know if it was cheap enough. I might have gone just to check out another martial art. But I didn't realize he's apparently Systema. I don't know if he made his own system, but he's primarily a Systema practitioner. I thought he was some kind of weird Kung Fu or something. I don't know. But yeah, apparently it's Systema. Which now I'm not surprised because I can see it now. I should have seen it before, yeah. But anyway, yeah. What did you think? Because and we'll do an update. You're the MMA fan more than me, because I don't get time to watch it, and we're both MMA fans. But so we'll have a bit of an MMA update. What the current UFC situation's looking like. But so as someone who enjoys his MMA, enjoys his UFC fights, watches all the latest ones, keeps in touch with the bare knuckle scene as well, which we can talk about too. What was your thoughts on that fight? Quick, not quick.
I mean, I try and any sort of, generally most of the combat sports I try and watch, like the boxing too, but I'll be honest, I don't follow it's mainly the heavyweight stuff that I sort of watch on the boxing side. But like I think a lot of people, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like initially, I'll be honest, when this name came out about Bradley Scott, because let's be honest with you, it's been a long time since that Ultimate Fighter season with Robert Whittaker. So I sort of forgot about who Bradley Scott was. So initially I was like, oh, and then I looked it up after you mentioned it, and I was like, fair enough. You know, the guy, I know it was a long time ago, but he went to a decision with Robert Whittaker, who was sort of, you know, middleweight champion for many years, sort of a Kiwi, what is it? He's a Kiwi born, but lives in Sydney.
Yeah, fights for Australia.
He's no doubt I think he's got a sort of originally a Kempo background, old Whittaker, but he's hands down one of the best in the world, that guy. So even if it was years ago, like at least Bradley Scott in his prime, he must have been fairly good if he went to a decision with.
On that note as well, UFC 193. I saw Robert Whittaker fight. Obviously, that's the famous one where Rousey fought home. But I was there. I was there in the stadium. We watched Rousey get defeated. But I also saw Whittaker from a distance. Oh, and then I met Jadrezik, or whatever her name is, however you pronounce it. We met her at the zoo. We met her at the zoo there. But yeah, I liked her back then. But then she went a bit weird later. You know, as the year went on, and she started being like trying to trash talk people and stuff. And I'm not such a fan of that. So I just go. She's still fine. But anyway. Oh yeah. So sorry, man. So what did you? We keep trailing off. But what did you think of that?
Just on that note, I saw Robert Whittaker too. I lost him. I watched him lose his championship to Israel Adesanya. And that was the last and biggest UFC event to date before the pandemic.
Cool.
You know, the Marvel Stadium.
Oh yeah, that's the one you just went. You just decided one day you were going. You just went on your own, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was expensive, but like to get close, but it was worth it. I guess it turns out. I guess it paid off in the long run, because that was the last bloody big event before the COVID and everything.
Mate, that goes to show you that in life, you should always, if you get an opportunity, you should always just do something. You know, even if you're sitting there going like, no, I can't be asked, something comes up, just do it, because you never know, like we say, you never know what tomorrow's going to hold, man. Like the same with me, like in a different extent, but coming over from the UK to Australia, you know, when I was leaving there, everyone to do the police here, everyone was like, I'm going to go next year. Some people did like half the process, and then they were like, oh no, we'll go in 2 years time, you know, blah blah blah. And obviously this was about 6 years ago. Then pretty much, I was like, no, if I get the opportunity, I'm taking it when it comes, as soon as it comes, bang, and I was out. And then pretty much as soon as I got out, they canned the visas that I came in on. And then obviously 6 years down the line, here's all COVID and everything. So yeah, mate. So yep, if you get an opportunity in life, you should always take it. But again, sorry, we've trailed off. So what did you think? What did you think of the fight, Bradley Scott versus DKU? What's your?
Coming from somebody who's I've got no attachment to DKU. I didn't know it was, and I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever even seen a Bradley Scott fight, so I guess I can't comment on how he was. And unfortunately, I never watched that fight with the Ultimate Fighter where he fought against Robert.
But you know he fought Whittaker, yeah.
Another thing I don't know is just I assume, obviously, I know he never became a champion in UFC. And he sort of won a few, lost a few, and then he dropped out of the UFC. And I don't know, he was retired, right? Wasn't he? He sort of retired from combat sports, didn't he, for a while?
Scott, yeah, I think so. I don't, I didn't follow him, yeah. He had the channel on YouTube, yeah. But then I think it got canned or something, I don't know why. It got copyrighted out or something. I don't know. But
yeah. So when I saw the fight, man, you know, it took. I don't know. There's like I think you said there's some sort of conspiracies going out there about the fight, but to me it looked like perhaps what it was, where you had a Bradley Scott who wasn't training full time like he did back in the day, maybe retired or semi-retired, but obviously still a good fighter.
Yeah.
And probably hadn't trained that much probably either for DKU. Because he probably saw a couple of videos. He knew what was what.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I did think that it looked like he was going pretty easy on it. Like he wasn't peppering this guy's face with jabs, which he like, could have done plenty of time because his hands were so low.
Yeah.
The other night. And it seemed he was pretty tame on DKU, and he manhandled him, and DKU fell over so many times.
Yeah.
He didn't have good balance. His hands were down most of the time. I really thought it was a pretty poor fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I think you echo what a lot of people said. I mean, no one's like blaming Bradley Scott or whatever, but I mean, DKU's catching the flack of all of that, because everyone's like, man, what happened? But then he's also taking some accolade because he's like, oh well, I survived, and he's got like some videos now which I've sort of seen a few of them, but I haven't watched them really, where he's like trying to like he's kind of, which is a bit strange. He's like, they've taken clips from the fight where it's like, you know, my jab, and there'll be like 3 moments in the fight where he threw a jab, and he's made like a quick little video, and he's gone, oh, you know that straight down the line jab that he does, which is nothing that's nothing magical that DKU made up. That's just a jab that exists in a lot of different martial arts systems, you know. So he's trying. Yeah. Anyway.
And actually, like I said, the interesting thing that this other guy pointed out in the commentary, which is true, is that it was a pushing jab where he left the hand up. It's actually not that powerful either. It didn't even have much power. It was a push, wasn't it? Like threw it out and push. One thing Scott said about Bradley Scott said about the whole, you know, because I think a lot of people were like, yeah, it seems like he's going easy on him. What's going on? One thing he said was, he was like, his reasoning is, he said like the fact that DKU was like southpaw and he was standing in like a weird position, he said that kind of put him off a bit. And then I was wondering as well, I was like, maybe, I don't know, I think I said this on one of the videos I did as well, is that maybe, you know, obviously Bradley Scott's used to fighting like UFC fighters. That would have been his memory, you know. People who can catch you at any second and you just get knocked out. You know, so he knows that. He knows that world of like, oh, I'm winning, bang, oh no, I'm knocked out. So in effect, I mentioned it before, maybe he gave DKU, you know, maybe, you know, he wasn't going easy on him, maybe he wasn't going light on him, maybe this guard did sort of confuse him in the southpaw, and he gave DKU too much credit. You know, you get what I mean? Subliminally, he thought he was a better opponent than he actually was, if that makes sense. And, you know, and he's fighting and he's like, oh yeah, but I can't afford to take a hit because I might get knocked out. And, you know, that part of his brain just wouldn't let him, you know, it's like driving, you know, like I can do like police response driving. I can do police response driving and go fast through like cities and towns and stuff like this. But if you put me on a racetrack, I'm absolutely crap. Because I can't get over breaking the safety rules that are like ingrained into me for like crossing lanes and vanishing points and this and that and the next thing. So it's weird, yeah. Like I went
I know it's a different thing, but I went like go-karting with one of my mates, and I was like all the way right at the back. I was like the last person out of like 30. And you know, I was just crap. You know, so I don't know, maybe he just genuinely gave him too much credit, even though mentally he didn't want to. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd have to look that up, but I don't know if Bradley Scott has done that much boxing before, or if he was sort of mainly MMA, boxing and MMA.
Yeah.
Because that was the key thing that I noticed too, that he was very heavy on the right hand, like you would in MMA, and he didn't use the jab very much, which sort of leads me to believe I don't know how much sort of boxing events he's done.
I tell you what, to finish up on the topic soon, I tell you what would have been good though, is if it was an MMA match. Poor old DKU would have just got destroyed. Like, man, he would have been thrown to yeah. I don't even know if he would have appears to have even like basic ground defense or whatever, because you know he was just falling over during like a normal boxing match.
One round beat, I guarantee you, not even one.
I reckon if I was to put a bet down, I would even go so far as to say it would be within like 15 seconds of the first round.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, 1 minute maximum.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this is what happened. They'd come out the gate like this. Maybe there'd be a bit of jabbing or whatever from DKU. He'd just get taken straight down to the ground and just ground and pounded, like literally within seconds. Or he'd get tapped out with some really remedial, like jiu-jitsu tap out. Quick, boom, gone. Rear naked choke even.
You know what surprised me too, Peter, was that how off balance he was. Like, I don't know if you saw, but like he fell down. I'm not sure what the total was, but he fell down a lot of times in that fight, like a lot.
Yeah.
On the floor.
Yeah.
And another thing I saw, which was really disappointing, was he did that classic rookie sort of move that even like an amateur person who's like somewhat decent would do after some decent sparring. He turns his head and like it's like the worst thing you can do is he turns away and he faces the back of his head.
And he like runs away a bit. Yeah, I saw that. You know, it's the old like that off I am sort of thing. Yeah, man. Anyway, that was that. Let's talk about some decent fighting now. One thing we were thinking of doing, I will talk about you can give us a UFC update, but one thing we were thinking of doing is trying to cover the old karate combat. What's your thoughts on the old karate combat stuff?
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I know that they work in season, so like they're off season now, but I assume they're sort of, because it's pre-recorded, isn't it? It's not live. Because of all the post-production, all the CGI and stuff.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I assume that's why it's not live, right? Because they've got to add all the, I might be wrong. They've got to add all the production stuff.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I think that karate combat's a bit of an unsung hero. Like, when you showed it to me, I started to follow it pretty closely, and I sort of watched all the events subsequent. And I think the system that they've put in place where you can sort of, there's no holding, really like clenching too much, but you can take someone down, sweep them, and then sort of strike them for 10 seconds. It seems to create a very exciting combat sport without sort of the boring aspects of some of these other, sport combat. Yeah.
But you said, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but you said there was like a wrestler guy, who because he was a wrestler was just like throwing people to the ground and just like nailing them quickly in the amount of time that he had.
Yeah, there was an American karate, or whatever you call that, but he was good, and he also was a good wrestler, and he was just double legging people into the next entry and dropping straights down the pipe on the floor.
Shit.
And work.
Yeah, which is you can see, which is you can see why it's not what they want. They just want to take it in a different direction. And yeah, it is. Initially, I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, and but I felt it was like, oh, this is just like UFC or MMA's like weaker little brother. But as it's developing, I was yeah I you know I yeah I was interested. I'll look down at our first comments come in, and it's a spam. Yes, spam bot. We've been spam botted. God, I hate those bloody spam bots.
Yeah, and another interesting thing about it is that really sets it apart is, as we know, like MMA is still young, but I'll tell you one thing, as you know, where can you find karate of all different kinds? Like literally everywhere in the world, from the poorest place to the richest place. Yeah. And it's really interesting because it's opening doors to even non-contact multiple black belts, and it's sort of giving this chance, like, to make a living and sort of a scalability and all sorts of really interesting things. Because a lot of these guys, they're learning pretty quick. You know what I mean? They're doing like 2 fights and then like, oh, okay, I get this now. Yeah. The full. And you've got, it's really cool. So you're getting like it's like Olympians galore and like world champions. It's really good.
Yeah, because I mean the skill level. I mean, I used to work with a guy who was like, I think he was. That was when I was in Chester in England. He was a cop as well. But he was like for Wales, for North Wales. He was on like the Olympic team for Shotokan, the Kumite, and he was like one of the top. He was one of the top guys. And that's sort of the end. Well, not the end of the story, but you do see when you watch the karate combat. Hopefully, my chair squeaking all the time isn't like screwing up the audio here, but. You do see that they need to get out of the point combat world. It's a totally different world, and this is what I've experienced. Like when I was only a kid when I trained Shotokan, but I trained it for a number of years, and the one hit sparring kumite, light contact stuff. It breaks, it kills the martial art, it breaks the martial art. It's just, when it comes to real, but even when it comes to like sport fighting, it's like you've got all the tools, but there's like a piece of glass between you and your opponent, a piece of like perspex, So, I know you've mentioned it before, so that's an interesting thing from the karate combat, is you see who the point spot, who the one-touch point spar people are and who the actual fighters are, because more often than not, the one-touch point guys get a bit of a shock, when they start getting hit for real. Or didn't you say there was a fight where someone, they actually hit their opponent, and then the opponent was saying, yeah, but they hit me, but then they did this like, pull back thing, and it like didn't hurt me at all.
Yeah, it was two female guys. Once again, it was interesting because both of them, this is really interesting, so they both fought non-contact, right? And this one woman won. But the woman that won went on to do, her opponent who lost went on to do contact karate in karate combat, and then she beat the woman who beat her in the non-contact. Okay, yeah, I was straight right, and she stopped on her face and pulled back. Yeah, and like Baz saw it immediately.
Yes. That's it. Baz picked up on it, didn't he? Yeah. So I wasn't following you then, but the two opponents, the one had beaten the other in like normal karate competition karate, and then then they fight in karate combat, and the loser beat the previous winner, because she was there for a real fight and the other one wasn't, basically, sort of thing.
Yeah, and in fairness, she had, I think, 1 or 2 opportunities for full contact, so she sort of had the experience.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's cool. Yeah, no, definitely need to keep an eye on it. We're going to try and do like a commentary of one of the events or something like that. Yeah, like you said, that'd be good. We should.
At how good some of the events have been.
Yeah.
And as you know, like the production values are like seriously impressive, and sort of the people they've got on board, like they've got Lyoto Machida, they've got George Pierre on board as advocates, because they're all multiple black belts in karate, including through, and it's awesome, man. People need to check that out.
Yeah, good old Baz. Do you know that pancreas, the pancreas, or however you say it, that's like an ancient, it has its roots back in the ancient Olympic Games,
It's like a Roman thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very ancient system. Yeah, pancreas. Yeah, so I'm sure it's still around. But you don't see it much now, like on TV or whatever. But I'm sure the K1's probably still doing it and this and that.
Yeah, I think they still do pancreas in Japan. Sorry, I'm just going to plug this phone.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
They're still doing pancreas in Japan.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was Karate Combat. We'll try and cover that. What's the latest in the world of the UFC for you? What's your interest going on now?
Well, it's off for a month. It's been off for a month, so sort of for Christmas, which it hasn't been normally.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the UFC was the first sport available during the pandemic, so they sort of grew exponentially this year, because you know how crazy the people are about sports. If all of a sudden none of your sports are on, and there's only one game in town, imagine how much it's increased your sort of viewership.
Definitely. Any fighters that you're watching at the moment? Because you always got your eye on someone.
Well, there is a. I'm just trying to think of the name. What's the name?
That's all right.
Sorry.
I said that's all right. If you can't remember, you can just tell us.
I can't think of anything.
I tell you what though, there's been a couple of clips and stuff or whatnot of old Conor McGregor's beef caked up a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, Conor's looking pretty beefy these days. People have been joking that the USADA piss testers are going to be around his house. It's looking awfully large these days.
Yeah, but to be fair on him, I don't know, because steroids and stuff like that are so used for healing, But to be fair on him, all of the weight he has on him is completely achievable, naturally. There's no big super steroid stack there.
You've got the top trainers and nutritionists.
Oh yeah. Physique wise, he's what we would call, he's just bulked up. He's bulked up.
Yeah, he's bulked up.
And he's.
He has, that he's only won one fight since I think it's 2016. He can't keep losing, and then he broke his. Well, you saw that horrible shin injury where.
Mate, that shin break, man. That shin break.
Can't keep losing.
Yeah.
I know he's sort of the money cow, but he can't keep.
It's funny because. I know the guys in the UFC and stuff like that. They're, obviously big respect for them. A lot of them are younger, than me now. But even back in the day when I was sort of in my 20s or whatever, I would see some of the kicks and hits that they threw, and quite often I would cringe because I was like, man, that's gonna hurt after the fight. Because as someone who conditions, my main thing is conditioning your body, weapons and tools to deliver hits that won't break you. some of them, like, you'll be surprised, you probably know, but you'll be surprised how many of those face kicks with, like, just with, like, the flat of your foot and stuff like that, those will nail your foot sore. I'm telling you, those hurt afterwards. Some of them hits you see, and I think there's even a fight that I saw where you see the lady throw the kick and it hits the other one in the face, like side on, knocks her out, but you visibly see her like land, and she's like in pain, and if it didn't knock the other lady out, that second when she landed, she may have been then taken over. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you can't recover from that second when you hurt yourself that badly. For a second, the opponent sees it and they just go bang and get you. But it didn't happen. It was good for her. She just knocked the lady out. Oh, I'll tell you what, man. I hope this freaking squeaking chair isn't like, yeah. No. Well, okay. Well, you've got the audio off and you're listening to me live. But I mean, through the recording, I hope this stupid squeaking chair isn't like gonna make the audio all bad. Hopefully, if someone's listening, they can tell me if all you can hear is like a squeaking chair. Yeah. So okay. No.
Well, I'll tell you what is happening. There's two things happening right now. One thing that we've already spoken about, which is the calf kick has just changed the game in a very small amount. If you look at competitive MMA, sort of, even when Conor lost, so from 2016, 2017, like literally in in these past couple of years, it's like gone leaps and bounds. So much so that when Conor was out of the game for a while and then he jumped back in, he was already behind on defending the leg kick. And that was one of the reasons he lost his fight against Dustin Poirier. The game has just adapted so quickly. I suppose because the sport is relatively young. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we got some comments here. Zanevi says the chair squeaked a little, no big deal. And then Jake's on there. Here he is, this legend. Did you see? Jake says, what's up guys? Good listening podcast on the way home from work. You should definitely do a commentary on an event. Do they ever stream the Sambo? That's like karate with dirty boxing and gi throws. Yeah, bloody Sambo. That'd be old Richie in your ear there, Jake, talking about Sambo. Yeah. Oh well, good to see you, Jake, mate. Good to hear from you. Happy New Year to you. Also, Jake, also an MMA fighter. I was very impressed and pleased.
Well, Jake did an actual fight.
Yeah, when I saw Jake, he won as well, didn't he? He won his fight. Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh, well, it's good to hear from Jake. Glad you're listening, bro. Don't know where you are. I'm guessing you're probably still in North Wales, up in Llandudno somewhere. But yeah. Anyway, send my regards to everyone down there. Yeah, good old Jake. You're good. Your mate. Well, he was a mate of all of ours, but he was your mate.
Yeah.
That Jake, that
awesome
legend.
To see Jake's fight and everything. What's he said?
Oh, Jake says, never won, lads, in the ring, but never lost. Oh, well, there we go. Well, that makes survive. Survive.
You won, Jake. You won because you fucking went in there, man. You had the stunts to actually do it. Not many people do so.
No, you did it. And Jake, this is from me. This is from me to you, man. I saw you because I remember you as a kid, and I know we chatted from time to time, online a bit. And I got my silly martial arts channel, which you probably laugh at over the years when you got into MMA training. But from me to you, Jake, when I saw you there training and I saw your stuff, and I was like, I wouldn't want to fight Jake now anymore. He'd probably be difficult. So you get my respect, mate. So that's for what it's worth. Jake gets my respect.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
because it really is true, man. The people who actually step in, it's a whole different game than in the gym.
And this is something that kind of this is something that has kind of always griped me, is because throughout the course of my channel, I've always wanted to go and do an MMA or something like that, and I intend to, although I'm getting older now. But most recently, a year ago or so, when I actually joined the MMA club, and I made time, and I was in the right area for once in my freaking life, and I was in the MMA club. So I was in there 3-4 months or something like that. Day one, when I came in and I spoke to the trainer there and stuff like that, and I said, man, I've been doing martial arts my whole life, but I don't think much of myself. But I do want to do a fight. That's all I want to do. Give me some ring craft, and just put me into like the next fight that you can. And they, I think already I was too old for that club, and they just, fair enough. All that club wanted you to stay around longer, but yeah, I was there 3-4 months or so, and then I had to leave the area. But I would have. There were a few fight competitions in that time. I just wish someone there had kind of taken notice and gone, oh yeah, man, you can do a fight if you want. But I think it's because it was a
failure on their part of spotting. I just think, because I've heard of guys, I know guys here who've been a couple of months and they've gone into like that. I don't know if it was an age thing, I don't know what it was, but I think that's a mistake.
Probably just them trying to stop me from getting like beaten to death or something. What's Jake saying? Struggle cuddles are the best martial art for a one-on-one. But in a multi-combatant fight, distance and awareness surely take precedence. Jay says, struggle cuddles. Yeah, mate, I'd agree with you on that, Jake. Yep. Certainly multi-combatant. You can't stay still, and you can't focus too much on a single person. It's a little bit different, but I've been in like riot situations where you're like surrounded by lots of people and they're nailing each other, and they've got freaking machetes and freaking blocks and stuff. And mate, it's weird, because if you try to focus in on one person, it's almost like a tank of sharks. You start to focus in, and like one of the sharks, like or tigers or cats or whatever. They go. Someone gets you when your back's turned. Yeah, or a block comes whizzing over through the sky. So yeah, it's almost like this constant state of just defend yourself. In like a multi-combatant situation. Yeah, and you have to become the shark, because you've only got 1 second to pick off any given person. Bang, 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 whilst consistently and constantly watching your own back. It makes you wonder what like actual battlefield warfare must have been, complete just complete carnage and randomicity, if that's even a word, and just weird, hellish, strange. That's why I guess people fought in ranks and formations, because it's the way to stop all that. Yeah, who we got? Max here says, hello. Max says, one-on-one struggle cuddle turns into multi-combatant when their friends come to their pinned friend's aid. Yeah, cue soccer kicks to the head. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what Jake was saying there. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, so Jake was saying that.
It's pretty risky, isn't it?
What's that, Dan?
So ground fighting, sort of, when it comes to sort of concrete and stuff like you've had recently, sort of, be careful.
Yeah. Oh no, Jake was just. I forgot what I was going to say now. But hey, that was an important point. Remember, I did that video on like the grapple that'll save your life. You get pinned, and all it is you hug them. So you're pinned on your back, you hug them, and then you just take away one of their posts, and then you can just throw them over. But then the main point of that was if then you pin their arms and shoulders, and normal sort of your normal kind of jiu-jitsu pin. But then we were saying before about if you are going to throw any kind of hits, I used a headbutt when I did it. Was it 3 headbutts? Oh yeah, I think it was 3. But I just used small ones and then 1 big elbow because one big headbutt equals face headbutting concrete when the person moves their head out the way, and the same goes for the elbow or the punch. Like I was saying before, in the MMA you see the guys can afford to drop these big haymakers down, but sometimes they miss. But in real life, if you're struggling with someone on the ground, you're better switching to like small distractionary strikes, and by small I don't mean weak. I just mean strikes to affect the person before one hit goes in somewhere which is effective. Because you don't realize how often you can end up hitting stuff like the ground and then your hand's finished. So I know you enjoyed that point.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and that's one of the key ways you can tell that it's sort of legit. Like you said, it's just that little tidbit's very important, isn't it? Like you said about not loading.
Yeah. So Jake said no disrespect to the Australian. Just for anyone who's tuned in, Christopher Miller there, Jake we call him. He was actually a lad who we knew growing up. I knew him as a little kid. But then he went and did some MMA fights. He's done at least 1 MMA fights. So yeah, big respect on Jake. Bit of a family friend there, halfway across the world. Jake says no disrespect to Australian police, but did you ever see that glorious charge through the police lines by the COVID protesters? That highway, that was wild. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Was that Melbourne? Where was that? Melbourne.
Yeah, that's it. I can't remember where it was, but yeah, I did see it. Yeah. It's a weird one with protesters like that because, when the public order, I've done quite a fair bit of public order stuff on that with protests and this and that and the next thing. That's what a lot of the time what the protesters don't realise is quite often you're not exactly not on their side. But you've just got a job to do. So the amount of protests, and I had one up here, but it was just with one guy, luckily. But we literally turned up and he was protesting the COVID stuff, and I was just like, oh, okay, man, yeah, yeah. I don't care if you protest. Good, it's a free country, it's a free world. Have a protest. So that's from a police point of view, a lot of the times you're just a person. You're just there oh yeah, well, I don't necessarily disagree with you. You do your protest. But unfortunately, you're bound that you have to do a job. Once you're there, you could not turn up for work and then you wouldn't have to go, but you have to turn up to work to get your money to feed your family. And you turn up to work and they go, oh, you're gonna have to go to this protest or do this, and you don't really have a choice, and then you have to go. And that's it from a police point of view. I don't like protests or riots. I prefer, well, no, I don't prefer, but I prefer riots because at least, I don't like riots, but what I'm trying to say is at least it's clear cut. Once people are becoming violent and they're smashing stuff or they're trying to nail each other, then, football riots or something like that, then it's clear cut. It's no, it's fair game. The couple of years ago, I went to some New Year riots where so people always think about riots, they imagine the streets and, New York and people or whatever, or London or whatever. But I guess what they also don't realize, you get 80, 100, 120 people, proper riots, just in suburban streets. 2 years ago, New Year, I can't tell you where it is, where the place is, but in Australia, I went to a riot where two houses on opposite sides of the streets had friends and family and everyone, and I'm talking hundreds of people, and they were just nailing each other with bricks and blocks. And like I said, so some had machetes and this and that and the next thing. and yeah, you know, that was like, yeah, that was crazy. You know, but at least it's clean cut then. It's like, oh, well, there it is. We know what's happening. You know, the people are being bad, you know. But yeah, these days you don't really get to do anything much. You just kind of have to stand around because yeah, you know, you can't be over forceful and you can't do anything. Yeah. But then you've got members of the public behind you going, why aren't you doing anything? Oh, you're fucking useless.
People got their phones out.
Yeah, no, they did. And they were like, oh, look, you're useless. You're just standing there letting them tear each other to pieces. It's like, all right, well, if you want to go in there and stop them, be my guest, you know. Max says, the last time I punched a wall, I dislocated my hand. Yeah, mate, walls are not good things to punch.
I think there was another comment from Jake here as well.
Jake says, there was no anger involved, my friend, just training his iron body when he was a teen. Who's that? Did someone say something? Oh.
Yeah, I think Jake said something before. There was a comment before Max guy.
Oh, for the viewers, Brett used to punch walls and pound gravel when I knew him 15 years ago. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably even more than 15 years ago now, Jake.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah, where did it get me? I don't know. Not really anywhere, really. But, oh well, I don't know what else I would have done if I didn't do that. At least, if people don't know anything, they do know that this iron body crap that I talk about, I have been doing for years and years and years. So, which is part of the reason I made the channel in the first place, was because of all those, well, the channel's I think 12 years ago, or 10 years old, the channel. But I made it because I was like, oh man, I've been doing this stuff. I kind of want to record it and just put it on this YouTube thing. Yeah. And that was it, really. And here we are.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it should definitely have more subscribers. It's definitely a gem with IBMA channel.
Oh, did I show you my speedball? My sand-filled speedball?
Yeah, I watched the video, man. I saw that. That's exactly what I need in this shitty little apartment here. But I just don't know how I can. Still haven't figured out how I can put it up.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Mate,
that looks so awesome.
I've been. Max has asked, what styles of kung fu did you do? I've really been enjoying that sand-filled speedball, man. It's great. I've been using it. I've been using it to, you know, condition the forearms. Striking side of the hands, elbows, headbutts. Yeah, man, everything. Oh, the old.
Headbutts as well.
Yeah, the old leopard fist or shinkanken if you're the Japanese styles. Been getting that in there. Oh, and also the old uechi-ryu boshiken. That I've been getting in there too. Just jamming that into the freaking, sorry to swear there, jamming that into the bag. For its size, it's perfect. It's like about the size of a head, and it weighs between I think 5 to 8 to 10 kilos. I don't know, I haven't weighed it, but it's pretty dense, heavy. It's a good bag. I've got my other one here behind your phone actually. You can't see it because you're in the way, but if I move you out the way, I've got that's my bag there, that one hanging there. I don't really like it hanging, but that one's full of iron. No, that one's full of iron filings. Ooh. I didn't realise this. An email came up on my phone. But I think the top of the camera was knocked off anyway. It's alright. No, it's just a work email. I don't want that coming up on the screen. Yeah, no, this one's I don't know, where hold on, I'll put you so you can see and then we'll bring you back to the screen. Where's Dan? Put him there. Can you see them? Oh yeah, you can see it now. Oh no, now the guys are blocked. Oh well, you can still see it maybe. But that's full of iron. That's full of iron sand. This one here. So this bag weighs like nearly 15 kilos or something ridiculous for what it is. But yeah, it's just full of iron sand. It passes all your stripes on it. But I don't know. I don't really like it hanging up. But it's all right. Yeah. I prefer it on the ground and you smack it like this, but you can still strike. But here is not where I train with it, because as you can see, it doesn't. I did try it, but it just doesn't hang right on the wall. You can't hit it hard enough. But yeah, it's just living up there. I was tapping away at it before our podcast, but I wouldn't call it proper training because it just doesn't hang. Oh, that's outside. Yeah, I hung that from the rafters outside. Yeah, it's, again, you can have them in the doorway like that for like a bit of, maybe a little bit of like, quiet conditioning or little bit of low level conditioning or whatever, just a bit of tapping, a bit of playing. But yeah, if you want to do properly, you need to take it. You need to have it outside or on a bench or something like that.
We'll have to do a video though. I'd like to see it like up properly, so you've got it up properly in your sort of. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh well, it's nothing amazing. I mean, it's just hitting it. But like I said, it's it's good. It's good because you can really use it to condition the forearm bones and stuff like that. Have you been training your twin locks? Like I told you.
I actually haven't, because that's one thing I should be doing.
Yeah, you need the twin locks.
Yeah.
You haven't been training that because again, that's good for strengthening the bones in the wrist, make it strong.
Yeah, I should do that.
Oh, and then obviously, I mean, the amount of times I've used, I now pretty much use twin locks to hit people when I need to. Obviously, I don't need to all the time, but when a confrontation happens or something like that, it's like instead of you've got a hammer fist. But instead of a hammer fist, you've got like a 30 centimeter just batten, because you can hit from here all the way down to there, and it doesn't hurt, and also it gives you the mentality that is what you have, because you'll hit the way you train, and if you train like normal hammer fists, that's the only thing that will come into your mind, and the only way you can think to use them, they're very effective, is like sort of like this, and you'd probably never try and hammer fist someone's arm or whatever like that. You might, like a muscle bundle, but it's very specific, yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, but anyway, if you train the twin locks, you just freaking, yeah. The other day, again, I can't say, but there was an incident, and a person tried to hit my, well, actually, hold on, how do I say this? Okay, no, not the other day. So it wasn't the other day. Yeah, it was an indeterminate amount of time ago. And I'm not even going to confirm what country it was in, but someone tried to punch one of my colleagues in the face, to which I flew over and got them in a nice sort of chin, I'll call it like a chin crank, when you like put a nice lock onto someone's chin, pulled them backwards, and then proceeded to deliver a good I don't know, it must have been about 5 or 6 nice freaking forearm strikes to the temple and side of the face, and they're not like huge smashing strikes, and it's not MMA, I'm not trying to destroy people, but it's enough to hit them to just, like someone's hitting you with like a baton or something, and you just get concussed and you get distracted, and you the main thing is your fighting spirit just goes straight out of you. And this guy went from the biggest guy in the world to being completely destroyed. And all he did was get about 5 or 6 forearm strikes to the head,
Allegedly.
the side of the head, allegedly. Yeah, yeah. Which was bouncing against the bed as well, because he was on a bed and it was just bouncing up and down like it was like a speedball. It wasn't funny. It's serious. It's serious. Don't try and punch people. Yeah. Well, that's what you get for trying to punch people who are being nice and talking to you and don't care. That's the main thing. They don't care what you're doing. They don't care that you're there at your mum's house trying to terrorize your mum, because they don't care. They just want you to go away. That's all they want you to do. Oh, well, we do care. We do care.
Very lucky. If he was in South Africa, he'd be in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think he got lucky.
Oh, now, Jake said, do you ever train with a fellow called Eugene Valerio when you were living down this way? Wasn't Eugene Valerio, he was the kickboxer. He was the guy who ran the kickboxing down that way in Llandudno. Chris or Jake? No, I heard about him, never trained with him because I didn't train the kickboxing there. But I did have a fight with one of his students. Actually, we're digging back in time here. But I did have a spar with one of his students who was like regional champion, or was gonna be regional champion. Me and a mate set up like a spar between us two, because I was like traditional martial arts, and he was like kickboxing. Oh, what's that? Chris says he kicked through someone's forearm in an MMA fight. Ooh, what do you mean kicked through? Yeah, I mean.
Broke the forearm.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I heard he was good. He was the real deal, old Valerio, but I never knew much about him. But yeah, I heard he was a proper kickboxer. You can't you can't diss on a proper kickboxer. They do what they say. They do what it says on the tin. The only thing I don't like is like shallow-mindedness. There's like, I've met a few people who do kickboxing or whatever, and when they get this like elitism. But I guess, I don't know, maybe you get that from competition because you've actually beat people, and then you go and see these people like prancing around at traditional martial arts, and you just be like, oh man, these lot are just playing games, and maybe they are, I don't know. But I don't like any kind of elitism, it just pisses me off, because all the best people out there are like the humblest, nicest people you'll meet when, Oh, Max said, what styles of Kung Fu do you do? Oh, well, Max, now it's a big mix, but the styles that interest me are Hung Gar, for the iron wire, the Titsin Quen, and I pronounce the names terribly, but I'm a big fan of the iron wire stuff, which is like sort of a Qigong really, and obviously the Shaolin Kung Fu, mainly for the 72 secret arts of the Shaolin, the conditioning side of things and some of the base postures and stuff. One of my old instructors was a Shaolin Kung Fu man before he trained Jiu-Jitsu, so we both liked Shaolin Kung Fu, and we used to train our Jiu-Jitsu, but then we used to go away on like retreats or whatever, or like me and him would go like up into the hills because we lived in North Wales, and we'd just like take our swords with us. We do like practice cutting on trees, and then we do like tree makiwara, where we just like wrap our belts around like a smaller tree and we just be punching it, or striking our forearms, with the old training the forearms to be like freaking stone, and the shins as well. Just basically training your basic body weapons really. That's really the extent of it. Forms wise, I've never been a big fan of doing lots of forms because I don't believe in training your body to fight in a certain like rigid structure. I don't find that's beneficial. Like if you're learning a form, but then you have to always spend all this time like learning bunkai to actually fight, you might as well just learn the bunkai. That's why I actually liked the jiu-jitsu that I trained, it's actually ninjutsu, but I don't call it ninjutsu because it's a joke. But at the Bujinkan, the jiu-jitsu where I trained, I enjoyed it because there weren't a lot of like katas. There were only like practical katas that you did with 2 people. So that I used to enjoy, because yeah, I liked it. Yeah. So anyway, that's the kung fu, and there's probably other kung fus now. Well, there's Batman Keith, Dan. Batman Matrix says, in my experience, right from the get-go, whoever you up against, because of constant training and win mindset, your opponent knows he's in deep trouble, game over. Yeah, so Batman Keith there, a blast from the past again. We're getting all these legends from the past here, but yeah, Batman Keith saying that basically, if you're a trained person and you train, you come up against someone, they're gonna feel it, they're gonna know. Max says, learning forms to learn application is back to front. You encode your application in your forms. You practice shadow boxing. Yeah. I don't know if Max is saying, do you practice shadow boxing, or but yeah, exactly, Max. That's what I believe, and that's why there's a Motobu. I forget his surname now, but he's been. I've been looking at him again, but there's a Motobu. I forget the rest of his name, but he's a Motobu, a very. He was one of the best, ranked as one of the best fighters in Okinawa old style traditional karate. Back in the day, the early days of karate, and I'm talking like the 1920s. He actually beat Gishin Funakoshi, who was the person who brought karate to mainland Japan. This Motobu guy came and beat him because he was like, man, your karate that you're teaching here in Japan stinks compared to what the actual karate is. That guy only trained a single kata. That's all he did. Oh, but no. He did Hojo Undo, which are all the strengthening training exercises, which is a lot of the sort of stuff I show, with the bundles and twizzles and weights and whatever, and obviously lots of conditioning, because if you see this Motobu Ryu or Motobu, he's his forearms are massive, his fists are massive, he's obviously very well trained. But yeah, Nihanshi, I think Nihanshi's the kata, and he just trained only that one kata. So there we go, forms. It's, do you need them? Do you not need them? Even Sifu Yang Lee, if you don't know him, you've probably seen him around on the internet. Very nice guy. Very he's an inspiration to me. But even he says that he doesn't rate forms that much. It's weird because the culture of Kung Fu, like China, a lot of the time Chinese people get it because it's a culture, and Western people don't get it. So like in the West, and even online now, you've got all this stuff about what's a real martial art, this is a fraud, that person's a fraud, this is fake. But from a Chinese point of view, Kung Fu, there's like fighting Kung Fu, and there's so many different kinds of Kung Fu. I'm sure you guys know this. Some Kung Fu's for fighting, and Sifu Yang Lee said this himself. Some Kung Fu's for fighting, and some Kung Fu's just for bettering yourself. Training your body, pushing it to the maximum, and it just literally will not help you with fighting as well. I mean, there's things like one finger zen, 2 finger zen. Even to some extent the iron palm skills, once people take it to a certain point, it's not, it's not even really for fighting anymore. It's just like a it's a self-improvement thing. Max says that's his interpretation. No, I agree with you, Max. That's a good interpretation there. On that one, we're getting sniped by these bloody. What can I do anything with that? Oh yes, I can. Look, watch. Oh yes, hide user on this channel. Boom. We're getting sniped by bots again.
At least we're not getting that guy who came on and tried to sell us some weird herbs for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
Oh, Shijulit. It was that Shijat stuff. Yeah. Actually, which I was interested in. It's like a mineral salt or something. Oh, they've sniped us again, look. Oh, well, we'll just ignore them. Jake says, what's your favorite Drunken Master movie? Hey, and that, do you know what, I forgot to tell you, Dan, that was another idea I had of something that I really wanted to do. So it'd be nice to hear what people think about it, because I've got this audio set up here. I kind of wanted to make, do you remember Mystery Science Theater 2000? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
yeah, you know, it's like those like little chickens and stuff that watch the TV and do like a little commentary and stuff. Yeah, well, I wanted to go through some of my favorite all-time classic martial arts movies that I loved and like inspired me, and do like little running commentaries of them, you know. But obviously I can't put the video on here because it'll just get copyright struck. I can't even have audio from the video. So my plan was to just do like, you know, I would put the video on in the background with like a headphone, and then I would just do like a commentary, or we could do a commentary of like the movie. And I thought that might be cool, you know, because Jake was talking about movies, but Fist of Legend, honestly, Jet Li, Fist of Legend is one of my favorite freaking kung fu movies out there. Do you remember Fist of Legend?
Yeah.
And one fight scene that I always loved was when Jet Li fights the Korean, I think he's Korean, or is he meant to be Japanese? I can't remember who he's meant to be, but he fights that like Japanese general guy or Korean general who's like iron body, and he's just there like nailing Jet Li. And you know, Jet Li's getting beaten up, and you know, ends up beating him up with his belt, whipping him in the eye. And that was cool. I loved that fight scene. And like, you know, he's swinging for Jet Li and breaking beams and this and that and the next thing, doing everything we were talking about that you shouldn't do, you know, throwing way too hard punches in like the real world and nailing walls and stuff. Even if it's great, movies are great, but you know, even with like years of iron fist training and stuff, you know, if I throw a big punch and I hit a wall, I'm in trouble. I'll be hurt, you know. Some fun stuff. Jake says, what's your favorite Drunken Master move? Drunken Master movie. I've seen Drunken Master, but I've
It's a whole genre of film.
Yeah, I think, but there's like Master with Cracked Fingers, and I don't know if that's a different name of Drunken Master. I've seen Drunken Master, it's so long ago. When I was like in my mid-teens, I was really into my martial arts films. Now I don't, for a lot of years, I don't have time to watch them. And now when I watch them, like I'm like, oh, I should be training.
Yeah, but all the old legends are too old now anyway.
Yeah, oh, of course, Max says Jackie Chan, Drunken Master. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, sorry, it goes without saying it's Jackie Chan. Sorry, we should have said. Maybe some people wouldn't know.
Well, there are other films in that. I assume there's other films about drunken masters and stuff.
I think there are, but Drunken Master's the main one. Here's a Drunken Master story for you guys though. So, although it does, I didn't know it at the time, but the training method, so where is that? I've probably got it. Guys, this is a moment here. Oh, I've got it. Is it the one? So, look at this, we were talking about Drunken Master. This is a prop. This is when you know you're talking to a Kung Fu man. When you start talking about Drunken Master, and he pulls out an aged walnut. Yeah, now a lot of people might not get the significance of what I've just pulled out here. Like, I'm very impressed. I've impressed myself. But Daniel, do you get the significance of me pulling out this walnut when we're talking about Drunken Master? Do you get it?
Well, isn't it something in the film where he's trying to crack the thing?
Yeah. So this is actually a method in the 72 Secret Arts of the Shaolin for pinching. But all those years ago, I watched Drunken Master when I was like 16, 15, and I used to, because it's an actual training method for the for the throat grip. And yeah, that's all it is. You know, you see him there, and you know, in the movie, he's flexing. He's flexing his strike as he twists, and he's working away at the almond or the walnut that he's got, and he's cracking the walnut with this pinch grip. And I've got a story about that actually. So obviously I still train it now, but I used to never go anywhere without a walnut or an almond. I ended up having an almond because walnuts, believe it or not, walnuts break. They actually break quite easily. So you can't really use walnuts, but almonds are like solid, hard as rock. You're never going to break an almond. So I used to go around with an almond in my pocket all the time for years and years. And actually, yeah, do you remember the almond? Yeah, even in North Wales, in Belgium, I had an almond, and that's what I would do. I would do these grips with the thumb. I would do these ones with the finger like this on the walnut, on the almond. That was funny. So one day I was at a bar. Jake says it's all about distraction. No, Jake, I was just laughing because the people were talking about Drunken Master, and one of the training methods is he trains so much his grip of his fingers that he can break walnuts with his finger. Oh, sorry, yeah, Drunken Kung Fu, yeah. So yeah, that's sorry, I got confused here, but that was the gist of the joke, is that we were talking about it, and I actually have one here. And it's the one I use to train with as well. But going back to the story, I was at a bar and I had a pint glass, so not this, a proper pint glass. And I was so used to doing this freaking motion. I was standing here with a pint glass and I was talking to someone and I was inadvertently squeezing like this. And the guy, oh no, I've got a Facebook. I'll have to look. It might be the baby waking up. So this guy basically started taking the piss out of me for some reason. He was just some drunk dickhead, and I was looking at him and I was just like, not even paying this guy any attention. He said I looked like someone stupid from TV or something. He's like, oh, you look like so-and-so from TV, who is someone stupid. So he was obviously egging for a fight, but he was so pissed, and he was like older than me, but pissed and like useless. Like even at 17 or 18, I would have just like headbutted him and smashed him up. So I was just there like, man, this guy doesn't even... I didn't think much of myself, but just generally, I was just looking at this guy and I was going, this guy doesn't know, like, the person that he's goading. Now, I'm not trying to sound like I'm anything, but compared to him, I knew that I trained like every day. I used to go to lots of training, I used to do all sorts. And this guy was just some bum loser pub crawler. You know, so he would have absolutely got smashed, and I was pretty angry in those days, so I would have happily smashed that guy. But yeah, I didn't. Anyway, I was standing there like this with the pint, and in a British pub full of people, but a bit more of a upbeat bar. And then he's taking the piss out of me, and I looked away. I looked like this. There was someone playing a live band just right next to the bar, and I made a motion like this with my hand, and I must have flexed, and the whole pint glass smashed and like exploded on the floor. Water went everywhere, and this is the funny bit of the story. It's a stupid story, but everyone in England, or you drop a pint glass, everyone goes like way, all rip the piss out of you. So everyone's going way. The band stops playing. They're like looking at me. The guys there like looking at me like, oh, you're a loser, until I handed the bar lady the top half of the glass that I was still holding. So it's one of these bar like reinforced pint glasses, the nice thick ones, and where my thumb and finger were, the glass had snapped and had fallen away. So in my sort of anger, just the tendon, I'd gone like this and moved my hand, and the bottom of the glass had fallen off and exploded on the floor, but I still had an inch of the top of the whole pint glass, which is about this round. So I then looked at the lady, like everyone was taking the piss, and I went like that with this pint glass, and I went, oh, I think I'll have another pint, thanks. and she goes like this, and she took the glass and she was like horrified because she'd never seen anything like this in her life, and she was like, oh, and then all of a sudden everyone who was going like, woo, went like, woo, and it just died, and they were also horrified. They were like, what the hell? And the guy who was next to me was there, he was gone when I looked back. So I was like, she gave me this like pint of pride, and I like took it, and I was like so happy, drinking, and the music started again. And I was like, yes, I won, you know. And that's just a little thing of in the 72 Secret Arts of the Shaolin, which is a training manual for, you know, these kung fu skills, it mentions about the sort of mindset of when you train these things is it's not to like beat someone, it's not to win, because if you even try and have that mindset, you will never reach that goal, because they're so mundane and soul crushing to train. A lot of these things you have to do them all the time. And if you try and think, oh, I'm going to use it to win, it's already like a blocker in your brain, because you can't achieve it. You can't achieve the goal fast enough to win. So all it's about is just endurance and endeavor. And it says many times in the manual, the 72 Secret Arts of the Shaolin, it says, you know, just train the skill. Forget about this, forget about that. Train the skill, and then in time it will reveal itself. It doesn't even tell you what the freaking it is. It just says train it, in time it will reveal itself. It will be inherently ingrained into you. And although I was still at a low level, and still am in that regard, I was happy at that day, because I was like, this is kind of like what it said in the book. You know, it was like, I've just done the training and it seems stupid, and then it's you know, the skill of having extra strong fingers has revealed itself to me in me destroying a pint glass, which doesn't really help me in any way, but it was funny, you know. And so we go back to the walnut. Mate, I've been trying to break this walnut for so long. It's just rock solid. Nothing breaks this walnut. I got a bag of them and got through the whole bag, but this one, he won't even make a cracking sound. He's indestructible. But this is good. This is the one you keep, and you whittle away at that one.
That is the same one, isn't it?
Yeah. Jake says that walnut is your nemesis. Max says
it's mocking you. It's actually been mocking you this long.
I could probably do it with two, but yeah. Or if I just put it on the surface and back fisted it, it would explode. Max says classic kung fu training montage from Drunken Master. Yeah, I like as well the buckets, the pull up, the crunches where you fill the bucket with the cup. Crunches, and they really do those crunches as well. They're good, but yeah, probably not good for your spine if you just do it all the time with the one. You have to replace with the other hand too. You know, don't want to train dodgy. Max says, I once slipped with a full pint, landed on my back and caught the pint back in the glass. No, that's amazing. That's the best story ever. I don't know how that guy did that. That's cool. That trumps my pint exploding story, I reckon. Dan, what do you reckon?
Yeah, probably.
Hold on, let me see. I got a Facebook. Oh, no, that's all right. I thought the baby was awake.
Praise the gods, is the best way.
Praise. Yeah, the baby's still asleep. What? I don't even know what the time is. What's the time? I've got work tomorrow, but... Oh, it's only 11:20. Oh, man, he'll be... Yeah, all right. He'll be awake anytime soon. Guys, can we take a moment to appreciate, not just the walnut, but can we take a moment to appreciate the high quality setup that I have here? I've got a phone balancing on the side here. I've got my pad. I've got my mic plugged in. You know, and we're kind of using a loophole to do like a live stream. One of these, you know, this almost could be one of those really well thought out, expensive podcast shows where both guys are on screen somehow through the magic of PC computering, but this is like a workaround. You know, it's going back to my African roots. It's like a back shot workaround thing. But yeah, so the walnut. Oh no, there it goes. I spoke too soon. Oh no, wait, no. Is he awake? Maybe he's not. Maybe we are still good.
Don't say it too loud or he'll wake up.
Hold on. I'm seeing if I have to feed the baby or my missus is going to feed the baby. Now drum roll. What's that? Oh, it's a shame because I was gonna break out some of the training equipment. Then I've got the twisting thing. I've got the sledgehammer. I've got the shin condition. Ah, yes. There we go. Look how good's that? The master of one-fingered bloody phone typage, which is probably the best you'll get out of me. Oh wait, so drum roll again. Are we getting the green light? Oh yes, we're getting the green light. Yes. Yes. There we go. Introduce Daniel back into the fold. Here he is.
I was lucky.
Whew. I managed to. Baby's being fed, and I don't even, I've been allowed to carry on. So yeah, in short, get yourself a walnut or an almond. No, you don't really have to. If you're interested in the skill, I'll cover it at some point. 72 Secret Arts of Shaolin. There's a pinching skill. I'm not saying these are useful for you, but there's a pinching skill. There's also like a crushing skill, which is one and the same. But with the crushing skill, you can develop a lot of power. And I actually did use it fairly recently to subdue someone who was trying to attack me. This is through work, again, law enforcement. So yeah, but the throat, the old larynx throat grab, as long as you don't crush, is very effective at stopping people from doing what they were going to do. Or, I tell you what, you grab a hold of someone's windpipe with the intention of crushing, and they can feel that that's what you are going to do, and it's imminently about to happen, and they quickly don't want to fight you anymore. Yeah. But yeah, obviously not the nicest thing to do to someone, but if they're trying to hurt you, and there's other factors in play, which there were on that occasion, yeah, that's just what had to be done. So this can help you get strong training. But yeah, anyway, we'll put that away now. But yeah, Drunken Master, so you get yourself a walnut, Daniel.
Yeah. Need to look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah. So, what do you reckon? Doing some movie commentaries. Well, obviously the martial arts
that would
movies.
be awesome, man. And actually, like, I don't know, like, maybe some of the older stuff, because the rights, like, maybe there might be a bit more leeway because of some rights or something. Sometimes films get to like a certain age and then there's like a change in use. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, you might be able to get that with maybe some of the Kira Kurosawa films, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's the thing. The whole I've started getting copyright strikes on my videos for free music that I downloaded for free. It's like free. It's yeah.
It changed think the original owners sort of stopped, that it's no longer sort of stock music anymore.
Yeah, well, it's free, copyright-free music, and yeah, it started getting strikes on it, which has annoyed me. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I don't know what people think about that, but that'll be good. Something to do. I was thinking of starting with a Bruce Lee film of some kind. You got to start with a Bruce Lee film, and just doing like a good old commentary through.
So good, man. Those are sort of timeless classics, isn't it? All those Bruce Lee films. It's a shame about what happened, what we found out about sort of Bruce Lee, but still, they're still classics.
Oh yeah, man. Like I mean, I did a video about it. Finding out about this alleged sort of heavy drug use by Bruce Lee. Everyone's on different fences about this. Me personally, some other people have done videos as well about like why people shouldn't diss Bruce Lee. Why is everyone dissing Bruce Lee all of a sudden? But it's not. Look, it's not a case of dissing Bruce Lee. It's like we've all, you probably, if you're a martial artist, you've all watched Bruce Lee and been inspired by Bruce Lee, and he's an icon of martial arts. But I don't know, maybe I was a bit naive or whatever. Obviously I'm from the 80s generation, born mid 80s, but and Bruce Lee's from his movies where I think they all came out sort of mid 70s or whatever, and so you've got the slightly older generation who were watching them when they came out. And a lot of them seem to be like, yeah, of course, didn't you know that everyone knew about this? Oh, everyone knows about it, but no one seemed to be talking about it. But anyway, if you guys don't know, there were some letters between Bruce Lee and one of the people who he used to work with on the films. I forget the guy's name. He was
one of his best friends.
Oh, yeah. No, so the guy, I was getting there. The guy turned out to be eventually become his best friend. But long story short, he was also Bruce Lee's drug dealer. And this guy just used to supply Bruce Lee with like every kind of drug you could think about. So whilst he was there writing the Tao of Jeet Kune Do and telling you how you should live in your body and everything like this, he was, and it's all written there in the letters. He was freaking using every kind of drug you can think of. Now, whatever you think about that being good or bad, it doesn't necessarily fit with the ethos of Kung Fu martial arts and training your body and this and that and next thing. It might have fit with the times, because the 70s was all about people trying all drugs and this and that and the next thing. And I know hallucinogenics and it's trying to reach other levels, but then there's things like ecstasy and stuff like this and and obviously I think a hell of a lot of cocaine. That was the main one. Then once you start to think about it and all these drugs, I'm not talking a little bit of drug use, we're talking heavy drug use here. Then you start to see, when you watch the films, hold on, bad connection. When you watch the films, you start to see, yeah. So people, again, you've just got to realize, and a lot of people say, and I tried to say it in my video, like I love Bruce Lee, but the real man is just different to what is portrayed in the film. People have weaknesses, people have flaws, but certainly from a Kung Fu point of view, drugs and stuff like that are certainly one of the bans of Kung Fu. The harms, they're called the harms and the bans. I can't remember how many there are, but in Shaolin Kung Fu, I think it's the 7 harms and bans or something like that. Jobo 1983 says Bruce Lee was very good. How can anyone train 8 hours a day without help for recovery? So drugs make sense. Well, not really, Jobo, because cocaine doesn't particularly help you recover from anything. We're talking like illicit drugs here, not like steroids or performance enhancers. There were performance enhancers.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, there were performance enhancers. I mean, there is already. Kid Jobo says cocaine makes you go longer. Yeah. Well, yeah, it can do. Okay, Jobo. Well, we like you, Jobo. And thanks for coming by. But I will prefer to do my training without cocaine if it's all the same.
It wasn't just cocaine he was playing around with, though. I think it was MDMA, acid, sort of all sorts of stuff. But also, there was, you remember the letters about him trying to get supply into Hong Kong, like quite big amounts. They were selling it to some of his friends. They were further disappointing things.
Yeah.
It wasn't a case of judging a man on his own usage.
This becomes disappointing here too, as Dan was saying, is that it goes on to in these letters that there's heavy drug use, and there's then trying to supply it. And supply it in big quantities, trying to import it into Hong Kong, trying to start a supply and make money. And wherever you've got money and wherever you've got drugs and you got money, you got crime, you got high level crime, you got a lot of bad people. So that start to, flock around that area. So.
And what about the discussions that because these are all in the letters to his friends, which I think have been verified as well. They were verified before they were put on.
They were authenticated because they were sold, weren't they? So they were authenticated by like handwriting experts or whatever.
And do you remember there was also a discussion openly with this friend about how he was going to strategically cheat on his wife? That was all in the well.
Promiscuity.
So I agree with Jake. I think Jake said earlier something about sometimes the message.
Sorry, Jake.
I agree, but it's just I guess it's just a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, and you know what, Jake's right on that. Sorry we missed that one, Jake, there, but the message. We all love Bruce Lee. The message, the kind of the Batman of Bruce Lee lives on. The Bruce Wayne of Bruce Lee is now like a questionable character, but the Batman of Bruce Lee is something that people can still look up to. They can still see the films. They can still see the skill. They can still see the hard work, the ethic. They can still see what is achievable when you really put yourself out there and you really train, and it's all good. So to that extent, we still love Bruce Lee, and that's why I made the video before. For me personally, it did tarnish. It tarnishes the legacy for me, because I got let down by it. And it's only me, no one else has to agree with me. But I'm just telling you guys how I felt like when I found out. I was let down. It's like finding out your freaking best mate was sleeping with your missus or something like that. Regardless of the reasons, I felt let down by it. And that's all I really wanted to say about the matter. Like, I'm not here trying to judge Bruce Lee or this or that and say he's not a good martial artist, but personally, as a person, I'm allowed to be let down by what I found out about the guy who I thought I knew about, but didn't, because obviously I'm just like the rest of all the idiots out there who just watched him on TV. I did have The Tao of Jeet Kune Do as well. It was a very good book. Max says it can't be a surprise he died young if he was a heavy user. Yeah, I've seen that cropping up as well in comments.
Yeah.
Jobo 1983, regardless if he took drugs later on, there are many well-known martial artists that go back to Seattle era and said he was very, very good. We're not going to take that away from him. We're not going to take that away from him. He was awesome, and he used what he could to make himself, at peak performance. And the world as well, back in those days, in the 70s and stuff, there was a different place, there were different thoughts on the matter. Like Arnie and the guys were popping steroids. No one really talked about it, but like Arnie said in his in an interview, I'm not sure if it's on. No, it wouldn't be on Pumping Iron, but Arnie said in an interview I saw where he was just like, you didn't really think it was bad or wrong or right. it was just like supplements, you know. People were like, if you do bodybuilding, you know, back in the day of Arnie, you know, because he said it himself. Arnie was like, if you do bodybuilding, you take steroids. And Arnie was just like, yeah, so, you know, it's not a big deal. We didn't have to sort of hide it. It wasn't this big secret. We didn't talk about it, but they didn't talk about it, he said, because it was just a given. You know, sometimes when things aren't shown or aren't mentioned, they're just a given, you know, in history. It's just like it wasn't mentioned, it wasn't drawn, it wasn't shown, it wasn't written because it was so commonplace that no one questioned it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think if you look at Arnie, that's an example of someone who achieved a mastery in bodybuilding, combined it with bloody nutrition, raw milk, and then some added roids on top, and you've just got this recipe for what his physique became.
Arnie always denied the raw milk thing, though, didn't he?
Well, I think he denied it, but I'm sure Al used to. I'm sure that was verified, though, wasn't it? That all those old school bodybuilders used to have the raw milk, didn't they? For the animal.
Yeah.
For the growth hormone.
Yeah. So yeah, look, in case you guys don't know, so a lot of bodybuilders take or did used to take human growth hormone (HGH). And back in the day, I mean, we like to talk about well, we do. We don't mind talking about these things. Back in the day, you could only get that from the actual pituitary glands of actual dead people. So they used to get this from the pituitary glands of actual dead people, or I'm not sure if they even used to use pigs at that point. I think it was literally people, but you'd have to check it out. Anyway, it was nasty. Yeah, but anyway, that was it. Human growth hormone. And human growth hormone makes your bones grow, makes your muscles grow. It's the reason why, if you look at Stallone now, and you look at Stallone back in Rocky 1, he is like a completely different guy, other than the fact that he's older. But his hands are bigger, his bones are bigger, his face is bigger, and you see it in all the modern bodybuilders, and you see it in
John Cena, The Rock.
You see it in John Cena, you see it in wrestlers. It's the reason why these guys, like, because look, let me tell you a story here, and I'm sure everyone knows this, but you can't change your skeletal structure that much. Yeah, you cannot. It's not physically possible. You see what we have to do to try and make our bones just a little bit bigger and tougher. We have to literally subject them to an absolute blasting. So when you see these strong men, not all of them, but when you see these strong men, you see a picture of them in their 20s and they're like a normal guy. You see a picture of them in their late 20s to 30s and they're like huge, and their face is different, their arms are like, the actual bones of their hands and arms are different. This is from human growth hormone use because it causes all those things to grow. It also gives you a bit of a belly gut as well because your internal organs grow. But where I was going with the story was, where was I going with the story? Oh yeah, raw milk. So bovine growth hormone that is in raw milk, I'm sure you guys know this, is a very close match to human growth hormone. Yeah, now, and this is human growth hormone does everything. Boosts your strength, makes your bones grow. It's like liquid nitrogen fuel for your car. It's super performance enhancing because it's designed to make you grow. And obviously bovine growth hormone is designed to make a little cow, which is a big animal, grow into this big massive cow, huge bones, huge muscles, huge animal, quickly. So it just so happens that bovine growth hormone and human growth hormone chemically are very similar, and our body recognizes them almost the same. So also when you consume them through drinking, they don't get, for whatever reason, it doesn't get destroyed by your gut or whatever, it gets taken in. And so there's a reason why farmers, and you always talk about how strong farmers are, farmers' kids and farmers, big farmers. Yeah, there's a reason why not all farmers, but there's a reason why that myth prevails or that story prevails about farmers and how big and how strong they are. And he's a farmer's lad, he's huge, he's strong. Because inadvertently, in very small doses, but through the drinking of raw milk, not pasteurized milk, but through the drinking of raw milk, you are inadvertently consuming bovine growth hormone, which acts on your body in a similar way to how it would act on a cow. I'm no biologist. I've studied biology in school. I have a rudimentary understanding of biology. So please fact check and go and dig away. But that is the gist of how it works, and it's a thing. So sorry, we trailed off, Dan, but some of the old bodybuilders back in the day used to drink raw milk for that reason. And there's also conspiracy theories out there, because obviously now all milk, and even by law in most places, all milk is pasteurized. And what pasteurizing does is heating the milk denatures the growth hormone. It breaks it down and it makes it inactive, doesn't work. So you could drink a vat of normal milk and it'll do nothing. But if you drink a glass of raw milk, it will start to have the effect. Yeah, obviously it's little doses. Yeah. But there are a lot of conspiracy theories about the fact that all the governments has banned raw milk. You can't have it. It has to be pasteurized. You can't buy it. You can buy it as bath milk, but you're taking a risk on your own life here, because there's a lot of there's brain destroying potential sicknesses that come from contaminated raw milk. So in other words, if you don't have your own cow that you've sort of cleaned yourself and very carefully got your own raw milk, it's a very dangerous thing to have. And that's why pasteurizing came along. Because people were dying and getting sick and there's quite an array of nasty diseases and sicknesses that come from raw milk. So, but anyway, it's a shame, because I tell you what, I'd be if I wasn't lactose intolerant, I'd be slamming the raw milk.
Why not, man? Why not?
So there we go. So Jobo 1983. We're all as bad as each other in that regard. What's Jobo say here? Arnold claimed he only took gear to retain muscle when he cut, going into competition, which was likely not true. That's that. I mean, I would have to challenge that statement, because I've seen a documentary where he says we took steroids, we took Dianabol and whatever. It was like candy. So maybe he might have been talking about an injectable or something. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway. So how did we get on to?
Arnold was sorry to interrupt, but Arnold was a master politician too at mind games. You remember in the documentary what you call it? What's it called? Pumping Iron.
Pumping Iron, yeah.
Do you remember when he would say to people, some of his competitors, what did he used to say? Only children drink milk and men drink beer. That was all mind games.
Yeah.
That he used to play.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Hey, I've just realised I lost my almond. No. I mean, I lost my walnut. No, I found it. I got it here. Do you know what? I don't. This. Oh shit! I caught it. I reckon this is for Chris here, for old Jake. I reckon this walnut here is from Asda or Tesco in Llandudno in North Wales, from probably about 20 something years ago. I think that's how long I've had this one unbreakable walnut. I believe it is one from their packs that they sold, and it just will not break, no matter how much I whittle away at it. It's like a stone. It's kind of even got shiny on the edges from just being trained on so much. Look, I don't know if you can see on the camera there. It's kind of got this shine Anyway, that was because we were talking about Drunken Master before. I'll put it back now.
Yeah, sorry, that was the quote Max was saying. Of course, how could I forget that milk is for babies?
Milk is for babies. Yeah. He'd be like, milk is for babies. You know, I drink beer. Yeah. Jake says you should set her free, being your faithful servant for so long. Put her in a pot and see if she grows strong. Do you know what, Jake? That's I will. I think this poor lonely walnut has been like twisted and crunched and carried, and it's served its time. And it's time to. I know it's sad, it's funny, but it's ridiculous. It shows. It's a sign of the times. But I'm going to have to make a video explaining about this walnut, and then planting it, and being like, this poor walnut has been trained on and gripped and twisted and pummeled for like 20 years, and now it's time to give it a chance and just see if it grows.
Yeah, it just wants to live.
Yeah.
It's been punished for 20 years. Yeah.
I'm interested now. I'm really interested to see if because it could just be dead inside. I wonder if you could still eat it though. That's another thing. Like, part of me now wants to break it open and just eat the damn thing. But what's the shelf life on a walnut? I don't know. Seems alright. Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't have any cyanide. Like almonds.
Yeah. Funny times. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Chris says it's a time capsule. Yeah, oh well, there we go. I did bring a load of training stuff in here, but we seem to have whittled away 2 hours without even breaking out one of them. But I don't know. We did a training one where we're kind of like training and talking, and I felt kind of rude doing it, because it's like, you're trying to talk to someone and you're busy training at the same time. But yeah.
Yeah, it was okay, that one. I think.
But yeah, it wasn't. I prefer the ones where you're just talking here and you just get to talk. Do you have any parting messages for anyone, Dan? Before I think we've covered a load of good stuff. We trailed off onto films and then talking about Bruce Lee, and his drug use, which disappointed me, but it's all right. We still love Bruce Lee. Don't worry. We still love him. And do you have any parting messages for anyone? Is there anything up and coming UFC fights that you're looking forward to?
There's the rematch between Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya. I think in a couple of weeks, which I saw live, which I'm looking forward to see. To see that fight, that'll be a massive fight. But nothing. I'll tell you what. Actually, yeah, a huge one that's coming. Also, I think it's either 4 to 6 weeks. I think is a title defense. Good old Ngannou. He's got his title defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's going to be 1 to 1 for sure.
Israel Adesanya. Yeah. Ngannou. Yeah, he's been sort of featuring pretty heavily on like Facebook and social media. I've been seeing him quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, Ngannou.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, well, there we go. We were talking about it before, man. The toughness, the inherent toughness of that guy. Like you said, he grew up digging pits in like, is it a gold mine? Was it? No, it wasn't even a gold mine.
It might have. I'm not sure if it was a gold mine.
It was like it wasn't even a gold mine. It was like an ash mine or something really even lamer. Yeah, and this poor guy's been digging trenches his whole life, whilst we've been deciding what kind of milk that we want to drink, even though we're from Africa as well. But we're deciding what kind of milk we want to drink. And there's that poor bugger, and we were like whinging about our latest Ninja Turtle that we don't have when we were kids. And there's this poor bastard digging sand pits and stuff. But how great is it? How great is it that he's given the opportunity to come, into the UFC, and just bring that lifetime of inherent toughness and just smash, and that God-given genetics and size and just grace, where he's had a hard run, and he's just like, yeah, what a legend, I can't wish success on anyone better, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that guy. I mean, like, I remember when they interviewed him about living on the streets in France, and that's what people don't realize about how bad some of these places are in Africa. Like, they asked him, like, what was your life like living on the streets? And like he said, like, relatively speaking, it was like an amazing life. That was
yes.
living on rough on the street in France.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, exactly. I tell this to a lot of people here and stuff. Because there's a lot of, obviously we're from Africa, but there's a lot of like African immigrants and stuff like that in Australia, black Africans and white Africans. I was just reading a comment. There's and I meet a lot of immigrants and Sudanese and stuff like that, obviously through my job. And it always really disappoints me when you've got youngsters and stuff from Sudan and immigrants or whatever, and like, again, I say this because we are from Africa too, and we are immigrants to the places that we're in, but it always disappoints me when you've got these people and they're committing crime, they're not taking the opportunities that they could, when they come to a better place, like I've spoken to like Somalian kids and like Somalian people and stuff like that. Like here, I've found them in Australia, obviously on the wrong side of the law, and it always disappoints me. I say to them, I'm like, man, you know that in Somalia you will be, we're like talking, what's the word? We're generalizing, so I'm talking with them, but I say, in Somalia you'd be like a child soldier, or a freaking pirate, or you'd be struggling. You'd have to join, there's no stable government, there's whatever. Why the hell you come to Australia? One, how the hell did you get here? But why the hell did you come here? And then now you're committing crime. You're in a country where they'll give you money.
Yeah, and they're just, in a way, it's definitely taking advantage somewhat, because, let's be honest, Beach, we both know this. If there was a law in Australia that said if they committed a crime, they were deported immediately, they'd be angels. They'd never commit one crime.
Yeah. Well, they do have that in Australia, but they just don't use it enough. But yeah, but I want to clarify, like, we're from Africa ourselves, and so I'm not saying this as like an anti-immigrant thing. I'm an immigrant. I was an immigrant to England. I'm an immigrant to Australia. I'm not a black African, but I'm a white African. And I'm not saying it against the Sudanese lads that I've spoken to, or the guys, because I've spoken to loads of good ones, because I speak Swahili, so some of them speak Swahili, so we'd be like, Jambo, habari gani, mzuri, wageni, and Krisa, najua Swahili kidogo sana, so I bet you guys didn't know that. So yeah, that's the only reason I seek them out, is because I want to talk Swahili with people. But yeah, I'm so disappointed when I meet fellow Africans who've come to the developed world, and they're doing stupid shit. They're committing crime. you know, they're just being skabengas, as you'd call them in Swahili. Skabengas, just like a bum, a no good name. Mwizi, a criminal. Mwizi is another
Yeah,
word.
and they're tarnishing the name of the great African people, some of the best people you'll ever meet in your life. Tarnish. Like, you know, going back to Ghana, look at Ghana. Like, look at what we went through. He never committed any crime or anything like that. And he's a humble man. And it's disappointing. It is sad.
So back to what you were saying. No wonder Ngannou was saying, like, living rough on the streets of France. And France is a rough place. You know, again, there's a lot of immigration in there. Because I went to a martial arts seminar in Vincennes, which is Vincennes, or however you say, in the center of France somewhere. I went to a Bajinkan, like an old jiu-jitsu seminar years ago. And me and the guy, one of the guys gave me a lift back to Belgium, where I lived. And like on the way driving back from our martial arts seminar, there was like this, you know, there's a group of these like Nigerian guys or whatever, and they had like this guy against like a bonnet and were like beating him up. You know, it's just in the middle of France there, you know, and just you could see by the neighborhoods. I was like, man, this is a lot different to Belgium. It's even different to like the UK. You know, obviously a big influx of immigration in there. You know, lots of different races and everything like that. And I was, you know, I remember the guy I was traveling with, I was like, man, we should go and do something. And he cleverly, you know, because I was only like 17, whatever, he cleverly was like, no, man, we're just carrying on driving. But had he said yes, we would have run over and like tried to, you know, I guess save this guy. Probably got shot or stabbed or something, I don't know. But, oh well, it would have been a chance for us to test out our martial arts. So anyway, no.
Also, we don't know who that guy was. It's probably another gang criminal.
Yeah, true. Yeah. No, that's true. Jobo 1983. Oh, puts a message, but it must have been the wrong message because he deleted it. I saw it before. I never got a chance to read it though. Yeah.
So that I don't know if you've seen any. You probably haven't seen anything about it. His opponent, Cyril Gane. He's a French-born, sort of African French-born, and it's really interesting because the two styles are really different. The Cyril Gane is sort of really good at distancing and like very technical. So it's actually going to be a very interesting fight to see because we know that Gane has got punching power. But can he close the distance and can he find the chin or not? I think he might find the chin, but that's a very good fight now.
And in Ngannou's I'm getting voice issues from sitting, from twisting. That's you see old qigong. You know, you need to know your alignment. I should have set things out better because I'm twisting to talk and it's putting strain. But anyway. Ngannou's like the strongest, he's got like the strongest punching power, doesn't he? I believe.
Well, yeah, I believe they did one of those tests, and he, you know, one of those things that measure the punching power. And right now, he's got the world record for the hardest punch, I believe, measured on that machine.
And what's the best thing the quote that old Ngannou says about other guys in Africa? Remember?
Oh yeah, he says that like, yeah, he says he's a runt. He's actually said that before. And he's 6'4", like 70 pounds.
Yes.
He said he's a runt compared to what's out there.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because we know that UFC is developing performance centers, like they're setting up in Mexico, China. What's the other place? A couple other places, and they're setting up a performance center in Africa. And tell you what, you give kids with no opportunity, young like that, the genetics, start them early. Now I'm telling you, the next couple of years, there's going to be a pool of monsters in the best possible way.
Yeah. Definitely, man. I'm looking forward to it. Well, hopefully once this COVID dies down. My my backlight's given up the ghost. My backlight's trying to put us to sleep. So you guys might have noticed that probably the light's gone or the image has gone down. As well, I have this cheap little rechargeable backlight that I just put behind the camera. But it's we've been going for 2 hours now. It's run out of battery. It's done a good job though. It was fair enough for what it was. Like $30. Not bad at all, that backlight. But now my professionalism's gone. Now I've got shadows everywhere. Oh, mind you, professionalism when we've got this, which is a phone balancing on the edge here. Someone who's tuned in has gone, oh shit, I thought that was part of the screen. It's just a phone balancing. Have you made yourself a bundle yet, Dan? What about your bundle? Have you got your bundle? We'll have to go soon. Do you have your bundle, bamboo bundle?
Well, I do have the bamboo bundle, and as you know, I was using it a lot for the Thai, but not for twisting, for the Thai shin conditioning. But then I got the shin splints thing, so I haven't been doing that.
Oh yeah.
You need twisting. I haven't.
Yeah, for twisting and crushing. Another great skill from 72 Secret Arts of the Shaolin. Just, I don't know. I've got bored of sitting down now. Like I've been sitting down for 2 hours. Like it's the most. I'm gonna have to stand up now and do a bit of crushing. Before we go, we have to do some kind of training before we go. So yeah, if you want to, anyway, because we've got to give people training tidbits. So I'll move the chair. So if you want to, oh no, I'll move it this way. If you want to make one of these, you don't need to make it this long, but if you want to make one of these to training the bones of your hands, the fingers, and the strength, yeah, just get some bamboo rods and chuck them together like this and cable tie them, yeah, like so. You can see it's a very cheap. It doesn't have to be as long as this one. It can just be this big. The actual gadget in the 72 Secret Arts of the Shaolin is like loads of square chopsticks. You make them into a bundle, so it looks a bit more like this one I've got here. Yeah, like so, like this. This is traditionally more like what you will get, and you guys think, oh well, this is a bit silly. Like, what's this thing gonna do? Yeah, but it's when you make one small like this with chopsticks. So these have all gone round now because of the square, but they all go round. Oh, these were cocktail sticks anyway, so they were round. But you're meant to make it with chopsticks, square ones. You bundle them, you tie them as tight as you can, and then you crush. Yeah, you twist it like this. Yeah, you do this with your hands, and you crush and you twist like this. Yeah, and it's just yeah, it's a training method for the grips you see here, for the wrists, for the gripping, for the twisting, but also for the bones of the fingers. So what I did is I was like, well, I want to put that. I want to like make my own version. I want to amp it up. I want to like. We've been talking about like Bruce Lee and his drug use and performance enhancing stuff and steroids. So I was like, I want to make one of these but on steroids, you know. And I didn't have chopsticks, so I just was like, I'll get loads of big fat bamboo rods and I'll make a giant version of it, you know, Conan style, you know, like, you know, I've got my Conan sword here, and we're talking about Arnie, so I was like, I want the Conan version of this thing, so there it is. So it's kind of a bit of a break from tradition, but long story short, it's a great tool. So what do you use it for? Well, I mean, give it a try if you make it. It's harder than you think. But you crush it, and that's some dust must have come off something. That's developing this crushing power like this. Yeah, this thing. And you roll it in your hands like so. Yeah, and you try and crush it. And this is training the tendons of the fingers and the grip. Yeah, it's training so it's not just grip, it's training the full extent of your grip. Yeah, so you're crushing it. You can do it up here if you want. Yeah, I'll just do it in the middle. If you're crushing it like this, yeah, and it's actually a lot harder than it looks, and that's the reason why it's a training exercise from the 72 secret arts of the Shaolin. And then in between doing that, you do twists as well. Yeah? Yeah? And crushes. Yeah? Yeah? And of course the torque and the elastic tension in the gadget, it just, as you can see, it just like puts a lot of strain on your tendons, on the muscles, and it's a noisy but a great little tool. Like I've done that a little bit, and the amount of like strain I can feel just from doing it a little bit, and you can see in the motions and in my arm that the exercise itself is really building the grip and the forearms. Yeah, and of course, like with the walnut, you can also but be careful because bamboo's sharp, but you can also use it to dig the fingers into, as like another form of training. Yeah, but be careful because when the bamboo starts to split, it becomes like razor sharp, so you can literally cut yourself on it. But so there we go. What do you think about that one, Dan?
Yeah, that's an awesome one. I know you told me about that a lot, the twisting. And then I suppose, Peach, that staff that you've got there, you could use for iron shirts and sort of shins as well and stuff, right?
Yeah. You can. It's a bit evil on the shins. Like I've got. It's a little thinner on this side, which is like a bit of a handle, and you can use that, for striking. But I don't usually use this for any kind of striking. You'd be better off making a shorter one. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I've got one that's about half the size and that's sort of shorter.
Yeah, or this is the one. This is the one I use for striking, which is
that the placemat one? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's bamboo placemats that are woven with fabric, and then I've bundled them together and duct taped it, and this makes a softer. Like I also use it as a nice makiwara, which I can put on things. Like I've got some videos where I've got it on my boxing bag. I can put on things and you can strike, and you can strike, and then obviously you can strike your bones with it, and then the shins as well. You can strike the shins. And it's a good tool, real good tool. And of course you can strike the body and stuff as well. But you don't do that as hard. I'm missing some comments here. Here Max says, I need to look up the 72 secret arts. Jobo says he was being silly. With some comments before. That's fine. Nothing wrong with being silly. Looks like a tool shown in Yang Jingming's Chinna book. Yeah, it definitely will be shown in the Chinna, because obviously Chinna is which is Chinna? Yeah, Chinna is all about gripping and locking of joints. The need to have the grip and the strength in the fingers is exactly why. It's a famous tool in Shaolin Kung Fu. Jake says it's the perfect training tool for strangle strength. Yeah, mate, it really is. Foam roller. Who's using a foam roller? For strangling, I use a foam roller to train the squeeze. Foam roller. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Foam roller is good. I'll tell you what. I'd get rid of that foam roller and just get yourself some garden bundle, and
upgrade that bundle.
Although, I guess it depends what foam roller, but get yourself a bundle, and as you can see, you only have to just start doing it. But the rolling is very important as it rolls along your whole finger. it's like putting weight on the tendons, pulling them. Yeah, it's really, yeah, that's one thing. When I went to jiu-jitsu, I mean, we were talking before about how you get injuries when you start martial arts and this and that. And I've been training martial arts for years, but when I went to BJJ, I was getting like a fair few injuries. You pull this muscle, you pull that muscle. BJJ is like rife for injuries. But what I never got was any kind of problem like in my fingers. I never got like a pulled finger, a twisted finger, nothing, because of the amount of like iron palm training that inadvertently trains your like gripping, your twisting, and obviously the density of the bones of your finger just meant that my fingers were strong. Like people, I guess people rip away off each other's gis and they get like twisted fingers or bust fingers. I don't know how your fingers get injured or bent back. I don't know, but I never had any problems. I ganged my toe, as you guys will know, where you like twizzle your toe on the mat, my big toe. But yeah, I was pretty pleased with that. I never got any finger issues in jiu-jitsu. If anything, it was great. I just used to go in there, latch onto people's gis, and they were just like, no, and just be like, or them, like pin them. I used to quite like the forearm grip. Like when you're wrestling someone, when you're on top on mount, I just used to grab the forearms. Especially, I mean, everyone was better than me at BJJ because I wasn't a BJJ guy. But I still had some basic stuff. But yeah, I used to be on mount and just like grab both forearms, pin them to the floor like that, and just hold them like with a grip like this. And they just wouldn't. People would spend like a minute trying to wriggle out of it. They'd get out of it after a minute, and I just grab them again. And and obviously in this time, all I was thinking at the time was, I'll just be throwing headbutts in right now. So yeah. Max says BJJ is definitely hard on the fingers when you have your grip stripped. Yeah. So that's what I mean. So people say all this conditioning and iron body and stuff is like stupid stuff, but it certainly helped me when I went to the modern the BJJ and stuff, because my fingers were tough, so they didn't get nailed, and they're not even that tough, but they were tough enough to not get nailed, which was good. Another thing I always did at the start of the BJJ lesson is I would go and chuck a belt around the pull-up bars like a martial arts belt.
Yeah.
So I've got it here. I chuck a belt around the pull-up bars always, every time, and I do belt pull-ups.
Yeah.
And hanging on the belt. Yeah, and that's another one. That's probably the only one you actually even need. And just a pole or a tree or somewhere in your house, you hang that belt, and you just do belt pull-ups and cross grip ones as well, so that you're getting the cross grip. Man, those are freaking awesome. In fact, I'm gonna start doing those again, because I haven't done them in a while. So I'm gonna start doing them again. Anyway, I think we can call it a day on that one, Dan. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, man. I think we've covered quite a good few topics.
Well, we
even floated into the realms of a bit of film and bodybuilding, which is relevant to martial art too.
Yeah. That's true. The only thing I will show before I go, this is very sad, by the way, not sad, but is that I have a copy, because they're the new ones, but I have a copy of the Ninja Turtle that I used to have when I was like a kid in South Africa. That was the original, one of the things that, when you're a kid, I must have been 3 or 4 when I had the Ninja Turtle, but one of the things that get you into your martial arts, or that martial arts world, to get you inspired. So yeah, I managed to get these I've got all 4 of them around here, but yeah, There we go. I bet you haven't seen one of those in a while. Look at that. Who remembers them? Yeah. So. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Kids don't buy toys anymore. It's just like 30-something-year-old losers like me who like trying to be nostalgic.
Yeah, it's always probably on their way out eventually. I don't know. It's all be digital shit eventually.
Yeah, or you just 3D print your own stuff now these days. But okay, man. Well, Dan, thanks a lot, mate. I'll turn the camera off, but obviously you don't. You stay. We'll carry on chatting our normal chats, but we'll probably also finish up so you can go to bed. But yeah, look, thanks guys for tuning in. I know a lot of people probably will not watch this or watch it, not live. But to the guys who came in and turned up live, thanks for putting your comments in. Jobo 1983, Max, Christopher Miller, Jake, Blast from the Past there. Batman Matrix came on. We had a few consistent guys. It's always cool when you get a couple of consistent guys there. Jobo 1983, thank you, mate. We enjoyed your comments there. Jake says, I know where Master Splinter's walnut went now. Good listening, boys. Keep it up. Godspeed, good guys. Yeah, Chris, dear Jake, mate. Say hello to Richie. Say hello to Richie from me, Jake, if you see him. That guy was always pretty cool. In the gym there, was it Ian's gym, the one opposite the police station? But yeah, Richie, I always used to train there. Richie probably won't remember me, but you can tell him I was always the guy in there training like just my forearms. And even Richie used to say like, man, this guy hates his forearms, because I'd be in there doing forearm Popeyes. I'd be doing Popeyes, and then I'd do like some other exercise, go on the boxing bag, then I'd do I'd be doing the belt pull-ups I was just telling you about. That's like 20-something years ago, blah, and yeah, so Richie always, when he would be in there training, he was like, man, this lad must hate his forearms, Richie's still going, and Ian's gym's still going across from the police station there. Man, it's a small world, and it's a funny old world. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. I think I've got a poll on my channel for what things next to train or what to do on the channel. But yeah, chuck it in, chuck your comments in. Let me know how your guys' training's going. If you send a link through or a video, don't be afraid to put something on there. Dan, have you got any parting words to say before we go 2 hours and 42 minutes?
My parting words are plugs, like, subscribe, and go on, check out that Udemy course. That's all I can say.
Oh, you plug, you plugger, you mother plugger. You plugged the shit out of me. I didn't even have the shame of plugging my own crap. It's not crap. No, but on a serious...
IBMA channel, I know this is biased, I guess it's come from me, but the people who are watching, they know the truth. There's a lot of channels out there, I'm not bashing them, but they've got far too many subscribers for the quality of martial art and training and advice that's on there, so I just need to get more people seeing IBMA, and there's some great stuff on here, so yeah.
That's it. Oh yeah, thank you. It would be nice. I mean, the channel is growing, but very slowly. But anyway, on a serious note, thanks to the guys on the Patreon who support the channel a bit extra, and also the Udemy course. The link's on this video and all my others, but the Iron Body Martial Arts Iron Hand course, which is a collection of a really nice collection of all the exercises and advice and training put into one nice neat package that you can always go into rather than having to sift through all my videos that are chaotic. It's actually doing really well on Udemy. It's really well rated, and yeah, so anyway, yeah, it's harder to get from 0 to 1 than from 1 to 10. Peace out, guys. Yep. Alrighty. And I think Jake says he's still going. Yeah. Oh no, that was Ian. All right, guys. Anyway, thanks a lot. Have a good one. Have a good new year. If the theme for this year's training is like also internal wellness and training of the body, so keep an eye out for that. But there'll still be the usual stuff. Dan, thanks a lot, bro. Guys, thanks a lot. Have a good training, and yeah, we'll see you around.
Awesome.
See you, Max.